Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to Know Your Gear QA number 169. I know it said it started at 4 and there was some confusion on that, so I appreciate you. There's already 83 people hanging out, so of course I didn't want to push it out any more than I had to. So let's get started. This is a special one, and before I get started with that, I want to tell you if you're watching this for the first time and you want to ask a question or start a subject, just start with the question mark first. That way I know it's to me. Also, if you're watching the replay on this and you're interested in just going to any of the subjects or questions you're curious about, I index the videos with all the timestamps so you can go right to that. And of course, if you just want to stream this as a audio, you can get it on iHeartRadio, iTunes, Spotify, all those podcast platforms, and there's bonus podcasts on there as well, so you can check those out. And another quick announcement is that today is a special day for me. It's a new logo day. I've had this logo that I'm wearing now, and it's hard to tell in this picture, but you may have seen the screenshot where this is blue. This is blue, and this is tan. And anyways, what reason I'm telling you that is, coincidentally, it was supposed to come out next week. I wasn't supposed to put out the logo this week, but Teespring reached out to me and sent me an email this week saying, hey, would you want to run a sale this week? And how that works is they give you 10% off and then I get to keep all of it. I think they discount it and then they cut it to me later. But anyways, it's a great way for you to save 10% off any of the merch you buy. And it's any of the merch. You don't have to get the new shirt. Even the stuff I already have on the permanent discount. Like I told you guys when COVID started, I reduced the price of all the stuff except for the new merch because it's new. The 10% applies to that as well. And again, what's nice about that is it's a great way to get you a little bit of discount, but also, like I said, it doesn't come out of my pocket. It comes out of Teespring side. So very cool then to do that. And of course, before we get to questions, we've got to talk about what this is about. Today's live show is going to be different than the normal live shows. This is a bonus live show. Basically, this is the 5th one of the month. And I told you guys I would do it at the end of the month. This is the happy hour episode where I will be drinking, instead of water, I have myself a beer. And actually I have a couple beers, but I haven't started yet. So I know it's early for some of you guys on the West Coast. This is early for me too, but hey, you know what? It's all part of good fun. A lot of you guys are going to be watching the rebroadcast over the weekend. So I hope if you want to have some libations, you can join me on that. And of course, on the East Coast, go ahead and join up. What are we drinking? I'm sure you guys are curious. I thought about what I was going to drink today. Yesterday was 118 where I live. I think that's 48 degrees Celsius. It's 47 point something, so 48, round up, 48 degrees Celsius for everybody else around the world. For us Americans, 118 degrees. Today's 116. The AC is cold, which you can understand, still doesn't feel very cold. So I didn't want to drink a dark beer. I'm usually a dark beer type person. So there's a beer I like. And I got a funny story behind it. That's why I want to share it with you. It's called Orange Blossom. It's a Papago. This is a local brewery in Arizona. This is Mandarin plus wheat. And to explain what this tastes like, a lot of people probably, if you ever had Blue Moon, would probably think it tastes like an orange beer. It doesn't. It tastes like somebody put a creamsicle, for everybody remembers creamsicle, yeah, like a creamy orange creamsicle in a beer. I don't know why I like it. And funny, it says, I swear it says on here, uniquely Arizonan. I don't know what that means. But it even got the Arizona logo on there. But I really like them. And what's funny, the funny story was my buddies Luis and Alvaro from Pedal Pal Effects, when they came to visit in the United States, they stopped in and seen me and said hi when they were in Phoenix. And one of my favorite bands is Slash and the Conspirators with Miles Kennedy. I love that band. I've seen them 3 times. And they got tickets to that show. They said, you want to go? And I'm like, yes. So we went there and we went to get a beer because we're at the show, enjoying the great music, some good friends. We went to the Musical Instrument Museum here. It was just a great day. We just spent the day. I took them to my favorite place to eat here in the Valley, and they loved it. And then we went to, like I said, the museum, and then we went to the show. And I went to order beer, and they had Orange Blossom. And I said, oh, I'll take one of those. And I'll never forget this. They go, okay, we'll have that too. And I said, it's kind of different. It's like a orange creamsicle meets a beer, and I don't know if you're going to dig it. And they go, no, we'll try it. And we all got them, and I took a drink, and I was like, oh, yes, let me simulate that real quick. And I was like, yes, refreshing. It's cold and refreshing. And their faces were of horror. they were like, and I go, you like it? They're like, no. But they drank them, and that was the end of that. And I don't even think it grew on them towards the end. It's a definitely interesting taste. I don't know why I like it. Apparently, a lot of people like it, and it's uniquely Arizona. So if you come to Arizona, this is one that I'd try. But it's definitely nice when it's hot, because like I said, I usually like dark beers, but man, there's something heavy about dark beers when it's super hot. So that's our beer talk. I'll continue to drink throughout the show. My wife only gave me one recommendation right as I was coming in to start the show. My wife's like, please don't curse today. I said, why would I curse? She's like, I don't know. You're going to be drinking. Don't curse. I'm like, all right, don't curse. So there you go. So what else? We got stuff to talk about. So before we get into super chats, I got some questions already pinned. A lot of you guys came early, like 2 hours early. Even I was like, what the heck? So I want to get to those. I actually have a question from last week I need to answer. So let me get to these. And they're all really good questions. So let's get started with them. So the first one is from Griselda. Griselda says, is it true that if I use flatwound strings, okay, I'll never need new frets? Any advice on how to care for an ebony fretboard? Sure. So I'm going to do these questions backwards. Ebony fretboard, I treat an ebony fretboard exactly like I would treat a rosewood fretboard. In other words, I would use the same kind of conditioners on it, whatever you're comfortable with using. I like the Music Nomad stuff, and I like Lizard Spit. I use a ton of stuff. In fact, somebody mentioned a great thing. I love this comment. On my video when I was talking about Music Nomad, somebody said, and when I was talking about Lizard Spit, they said, yeah, he's recommending those, but if you look behind him, he has all the other brands. And I'm like, yeah, I have all of them, because customers sometimes just, I don't push that on anybody. If a customer comes in and says I use Dunlop 65, then that's what I use, if that's what they want. If they want Fender polish or Gibson polish, that's what I use. If it's what they ask for, I have it. But what do I use? I use Lizard Spit and Music Nomad. Those are what I prefer, and different for different reasons. I've been it's funny, I have it here. I'm using the Guitar One for guitar finishes right now. I really like this. I still think for fretboard conditioner, although I love the Music Nomad stuff and I've been using it more and more, I still use Lizard Spit. But the only thing you would do different for a ebony fretboard than rosewood is you would definitely do it half as much. So what I mean by that is if you do a rosewood twice a year, you would do the ebony once a year. It just doesn't, it's just a harder wood, so it doesn't need as much. So there you go. That's my advice on that. Back to the flatwounds. Is it true if you use flatwound strings, you won't have to ever need new frets? Never is an impossible word to say, but it's not very likely, because the flatwounds, here's what it is. You have to understand that a round wound string is going to be for the sense of, well, we're not talking about the 3 bare wires. We're talking about the actual wrapped string. You're going to have a round wire wrapped with another wire. And of course it has little gaps, right? As the layers kind of do like this. A flat wound string is a ribbon, just like you would have a ribbon, like to make a bow on a package. It's a wire wrapped in a ribbon, and the ribbon seams up on each other, so it's nice and smooth. And there's no like the thing about a guitar string that's wrapped is kind of like a saw, right? You can actually use it to actually like file things if you had to. So that being said, it's going to be way less friction. It's going to be harder to put a dent in the frets, not dent, but wear a spot in the frets. Dent isn't the right word. So I wouldn't say never. I wouldn't say never. No, I wouldn't say never. It's just not likely. So yeah, it's a great way. If you have something that you're concerned about, you could go ahead and do that. I mean, you're going to lose some of the brights and some of the exciting things about a wraparound string, but flat ones are still cool. The next one came from Brandon. Brandon Kelly says, I'm going to comment on every video. Okay. As I take a drink. He's going to comment on every video until I get the response. LOL. Okay, well, it's worked then, I guess. Says, looking to buy a Shijie guitar. Was the one you played on par or better than the Charvel DK24? So I would like to keep it, if we could, Brandon, to just my Shijie and my DK24. Okay, so I'm not going to compare all of them. That would be fine. So in my 2 guitars, which one's better? They are actually on par. Quality, fit, and finish. I would say technically it's not fair to Shijie to not mention that it's required no work, and my DK24 did have fret sprout that I had to address. So once I addressed the fret sprout on the DK24, it was very good, on par. They're different animals because one's a Strat style and one's like a dual humbucker. I mean, they're different. But if we're going off quality, I think the Shijie was better because it didn't do the fret sprout. Now that that's been corrected on the Charvel, they're on par with each other for sure, okay? And that's not taking into account that the Shijie's less money or anything like that, or you know what I mean? I mean, and then if we're gonna go, because we're not, might as well deep dive on this one. If we're gonna go deep into it, I still would think the Charvel is a better buy just because Charvel branding is more powerful. I like the Mexico facility in Ensenada. I mean, there's a ton of reasons why I would probably pick the Charvel. So that's a question. That's a really hard question to answer. So I'll hit you with it, which is if I could pick one of the two and keep one, I would pick the Charvel. And I really like the Shijie a lot. But I'd pick the Charvel, I think. So, there you go. Plus, it's easier to get your hands on. Shijie right now is going through some troubles trying to get guitars as they're reorganizing stuff. But like I said, I still like them. I'm planning to get one of their new tellies and then review that and talk about that. And then Oregon Guitarist says, "Hey Phil, what are your thoughts regarding the Bad Cat Hot Cat 30R amps? Happy Friday." I've talked to the owner, John. His name's John of Bad Cats. Great guy. We've had a ton of conversations on the phone. Super awesome. They talked about sending me the Paw, which is their new amp. That's kind of like a desktop, it's an amp that you could take to a gig, literally jam at a gig and then use it as an interface on your computer. They're made in the USA and they're $7.99. I've been very excited about those. They talk about sending one out. I really would love to get my hands on a Hot Cat 30 reverb amp. They're about $14.99 for the head. And I hear nothing but good things, but I literally have not ever put hands or ears on them. So this is a good point in this video. I will index this and maybe I can send this to John and say, hey, if you have one laying around, could you send it to the channel? We'll check it out or something. I'd be curious. I'm definitely curious about that amp, sure. Bill says, don't forget the question from last week. Okay. All right, Bill. It says, I already have it pinned, I think. And it says, I have a Boss Katana and I love how it sounds, but I feel like I'm missing out never playing a tube amp. Any suggestions for a good tube combo? Now, this is where it's going to get a little strange because, I could easily say, tube amps are better. You need to get a tube amp. But I always caution people with the logic of this. And they're like, hey, I love my solid state. This is where I get nervous. Somebody gets a solid state amp or a digital amp and they go, I love it, but I want a tube amp because there's all this talk about it. And a lot of times, I can honestly say, people are going to say, man, now that I've tried one, I get what all the hype's about, and I get what all the excitement's about. But really, to be honest with you, a tube amp is great, but it's just because an amp's tube doesn't mean it's better than solid state. It's not, that logic doesn't play. To say that basically, oh, if it's a tube amp, it sounds good, and if it's a solid state amp, it doesn't, that makes no sense. I have solid state amps that do sound great, better than some tube amps, because just because it's made with tubes doesn't mean it's good. They still have to make a good amp with tubes. So that being said, if you had a Katana and you're looking for a good first tube amp, I would say, just because, and hold on, I got to go back to it because I know you said which Katana you had. That'll help me. No, you just said Katana. So I'm assuming you have the 50 or the 100, not the artist. So in the price point of $200 to $300 in the Katana range, I would say if you're going to check out a tube amp, it's not 100% tube. It's really good though. Is the Super Champ by Fender. That's a great amp to check out. I highly recommend it. You can pick them up, the combo or the head for $300 to $400, and I think it'll give you something to mess with. And it's kind of reminiscent of what Katana is. If you're looking something for more tube-like, a Blues Junior would also be great. If you're looking for a great pedal platform, that's a fantastic amp. The Blues Junior never gets its credit, never gets its dues, right? It's like everybody's like, oh, it's a Blues Junior. I'm like, dude, it's a great amp. If Fender made the Blues Junior back in the day, people would have lost their mind. You know what I mean? For being more affordably priced, having a great reverb sound, being a great pedal platform amp, being light, being pretty loud for 15 watts. So that's another amp I would definitely check out. If you notice, I'm leaning you towards Fender amps. I think if you're going to get into inexpensive tube amps in the smaller amp range, unless you're scoring deals like on Bugera or Black Star, stuff like that, which are very cool amps for sure. Definitely, if you're gonna put the cash down, probably get something like a Fender. That's a staple amp that you can trust. You're gonna get a good sound out of it. If you don't go that route, go find some old good tube amps, like old PVs and old off-brand amps that are out there that you can pick up for a song. Those are kind of nice as well. And then, hold on, we still haven't got to last week's question because we've got to still hit these There was a bunch of you, like said, on before the show started. I wanted to give you guys some attention. It says, this is from Ben. Ben says, hey, Phil, happy birthday, brother. Love the show. Thanks for making the WFH better. Okay. I don't know what WFH stands for. Why don't I know what that means? But says you just got an Arts and Lutherie Americana cutaway. Love it. After 15 years of electric playing, do you still have yours? Do you anything to know? Yes, I absolutely still have my Arts and Lutherie guitar. You guys have seen it in many videos. My main acoustics that I play, my Arts and Lutherie is probably the main acoustic you're going to see me play the most of the time. I have a couple Taylor guitars that I absolutely love, and I play them pretty regular off the YouTube channel, but not really regular on the YouTube channel. I don't have a lot of use for them on the channel. So I play the Arts and Lutherie. And I love that guitar. I think you can't go wrong. It's made in Canada. It's just a great sounding guitar. I think I picked mine up new for $299, and I've had it now for 6-7 years at least 7 years. 7 years. Love it. Absolutely love it. Can't go wrong. Okay. And then Tommy says, this is the last one of the pre-ones, and then I'll do last week's question too. Tommy says, are you still happy with the Spark amp? I absolutely love the Spark amp. I noticed this week that they've been shipping almost all the back orders. I noticed that because I've been watching comments from viewers. I've been watching my friends. I had 2 different friends tell me they got theirs this week. One of the patrons told me he got his this week, and one of the viewers even emailed and said they got theirs this week. All of them had ordered them when I did my video of them. Now, that being said, when I did my video, I was under the impression from the guys at Spark that they were receiving a big shipment, and that pretty recent after I make my video, there was going to be a shipment of products. I didn't say that, and here's why. Because I like to always, my philosophy is always under promise, over deliver. So I didn't want to say that anyone was guaranteed, but I really felt that way. And I can tell you this, when I was asked privately by a couple close friends after they watched my video, they're like, hey Phil, that thing looked really cool. Do you think I should order one? I told them all yes. You know what I mean? I said yes, I feel pretty confident. But I didn't feel confident telling a ton of people because, again, I don't know what Spark's up to. So to answer the question, yes. And I've been really apprehensive about really hamming up my reaction to Spark. So here's my reaction to Spark now that it looks like it's pretty safe to order one and get one now. Especially, like I said, if you guys have concerns about their delays and all that stuff, Sweetwater is supposed to, that's the rumor I hear. Seems to be pretty accurate that Sweetwater's going to have them soon. And then, of course, Sweetwater will, of course, take care of you. That's nice. What I will tell you is absolutely best combo amp ever. Now I'm going to let you guys know. I've been holding back because again, a lot of you guys had valid points. Like the way they handled that situation was horrible. Absolutely. That being said, no, absolutely. I'm literally, like I said, it's on my desk. I play it every single day. Here's the issues with it. Let me tell you, there's issues there. I'll give you all the issues. So if you guys are concerned about them, or if you have one and you're experiencing these issues, these are also issues I've had, and I've also sent a couple. One of the issues to Spark for a reference. Issue is, like I said, very basic amp. Okay, so out of the box, it's really basic, which is nice that it can. If you're playing a Strat or a Tele, especially a Strat, and it's a little thinner, and you want to beef it up, it can. It's got more bass on tap than you could ever want. So every time I had to set up all the settings and did it. If your other concern is that you don't want to do apps and all that stuff, dude, I programmed mine all up one day and I haven't messed with it since. I've been using the 5 presets or whatever, the 4 presets, and it's been fantastic. I'm using it as a bass amp every day. My bass is hanging right in front of me. The Spark is what I was literally just practicing bass into. It was fantastic. And I've used it as an acoustic amp. And yeah, it was pretty decent for acoustic amp. The acoustic models, very, very cool stuff. Like I said, very good, priced reasonably. Like I said, just dealing with that issue of they just didn't have any and they were telling everybody they were coming. It was very frustrating. There's lots of people still frustrated. If you're out there right now and you're watching this and you're like, wait a minute, I'm still waiting for mine. I even saw where Spark, I guess, reached out and said, if you haven't got yours, let them know, because they pretty much are filling almost all the back orders now. So there you go. So now I feel pretty confident telling you guys how I really feel, and I don't have to worry about you guys. Because like I said, I was a little concerned. I didn't want to tell you guys like best thing ever, and then literally you guys run out and get them, and then Spark took advantage and didn't ship yours. So well, and Daryl says, well, Spark sales just jumped. So here's the thing: their price is already determined, right? I think my understanding is it's $299 or $329. I know a lot of you are going to be freaking out because you're like, wait a minute, I thought it was $230. That is part of that pre-order stuff. That's what a lot of people are confused about that. I was really spending a lot of time on this, but again, I think it's something a lot of you guys out there, especially if you haven't got yours yet, might want to hear. I have read so much stuff online about this Spark thing. It's been such a controversy, for sure, very epic. And one of the things I kept reading from consumers was it wasn't explained to them that this is a Kickstarter. It wasn't explained that these are pre-orders, and it's possible. I don't know what Spark had done, because it's the internet. Just because somebody types something on the internet doesn't mean they can't change it or adapt it. Everything I found when I was doing my research, which again, when I say research, I mean scrolling at night through messages on my phone or looking on the iPad for stuff, it said that it did seem pretty clear that you were getting a discount for a pre-order, although they were flat out wrong with the estimations of the time, and their correspondence with explaining and giving people updates were horrible. Horrible. So all the criticisms about Spark and their customer service seem to be pretty valid. But that being said, that Spark is a company, and if that makes you want to do new business with them, I totally understand. Like I said, I don't work for any of these companies, so I'm not going to tell you to do or not do something with them. All I can tell you is I have the product and I like it. It sounds really good. I'm really curious more so to see how it sounds against the THR-10, although my guess is it's probably on par with it, or if not, I can't tell you for sure. I have a guess, but I don't want to tell you until I try it. Let's see. So that's the updates on that. So yes, I still like it, and I use it every day. All right. Ben Combs in the house? Coombs. Sorry. Never going to get it right. It's Ben Coombs. I got to say it wrong to hear myself to know that it's wrong. Okay. I have to, real quick, before we go any further, I have to find the email. I received an email this week from a viewer. Hold on. Because he did a super chat last week and we didn't get to it. And I know there's super chats now. Let me get to that too as well. Hold on, guys. Where's it at? I had it pinned and ready to go, but when I was changing screens, I lost it. And I might have already answered it with the two-bag question, because I know it's the same. I'm pretty sure it's the same person. It's Bill. Oh, yeah. Okay. So here it goes. It says the question was from Ben. Sorry, not Bill. It's Ben. This one's from Ben. Ben said that basically the question he had was about the ES335 kit guitar. So basically the question is, it says, after doing some research since the super chat, I've come upon the Jimmy Page wiring. So basically what he's got is he's got an ES335 kit, and he's talking about which wiring to do. So he said Mojotone offers a standard wire kit for $105 with CTS pots and a premium kit with Borns pots, which I heard you say last week that you like. I like both, absolutely, right? For $139. 920D, which is another company that makes pre-assembled stuff, custom offers the JP wired kit and push-pull with Borns pots for $135. So, and he's looking at the Seymour Duncan Pearly Gates. What do you think? I'll be watching Friday. What do I think? I think I've purchased both from Mojotone and 920D, and I've had no issues with either one. Both are pretty fast at getting deliveries out. Both were very everything they soldered up was great. I had no issues. So as a recommendation goes, it's essentially, of those two, here's where it makes it easy. When you have two companies, and I can say honestly that they were, if they were both fives, they're fives, and if one was if they're both tens, they're tens, you know what I mean? They're both equal, whether good or bad. Then go with the one that's just a little bit cheaper. So there you go. That would be my recommendation for that, but it's a good way to go. And then on the Pearly Gates, great pickups. I think for what you're trying to do, the Jimmy Page sound, of course, the Pearly Gates will do well for you. Let's see. Okay, let's hit some of the pen questions real quick, because I've been doing the pre-questions. And it's funny. It's like I'm said, hey, I'm going to drink a beer, but it's hard to drink and talk. I don't think we're going to get through this glass. Let me hit. Let me refresh this. Because I know you guys were doing it. Okay, here it is. Okay. What do we have? We have, the first one is from Jeff. And Jeff says, please do best Homer Simpson beer. Yeah, it's I don't do it. Beer. I think he does donut better, right? Donuts, right? That's like the thing. Serious question. Tusq versus Tusq XL nuts. What's the difference? When to use which one? I'd have to look it up online to know. So I'm going to do something that I don't really recommend, but I'm just curious to see if I'm right. I thought Tusq XL is their lubricated nuts, like it comes what they self-lubricate. I thought that's the big difference, if I recall correctly. I've used both and found no personal reason to like either one over the other. And I never seek out either one, but I know I've installed both many times because, when customers bring in a lot of Tusq stuff, one says XL on it, one doesn't. And I thought when I read the packaging, I thought XL means it's self-lubricating, which sounds good, right? Sounds like, like I said, friction's the enemy of staying in tune. So anything that's going to make the string return to the perfect spot, not restrict anything and cause problems is good. So here's my answer to that. If I'm right and the XL is self-lubricating and they're the same price, I would just go ahead and do that. Why not? But I have no reason to pick one over the other. No research or anything like that. And there's no tonal difference. There can't be. There's just, what I mean? I think it's just more of they came up with the technology of having a self-lubricated material. Frederick John says, what are your thoughts on the Roland Jazz Chorus amps? Oh man, that's old school. I really liked, obviously like everybody, I really liked the Jazz Chorus amp. It was a classic. They started making the 40s, right? They make two now, right? They make two small ones. I played one or two in a store once. It was like, yeah, it's cool. I think the Jazz Chorus, to be fair to the Jazz Chorus, and even the new smaller ones, is you got to be looking for that. There are players, and they're famous players, of course, that use Jazz Chorus amps. It's a really famous amplifier. It's been on many recordings and many stages. And I think if you're looking for that sound, good, it's a good way to go. I personally have never found, and I'm obviously a Roland fan, I'm a Boss fan, just never found anything that said, yeah, I need that amp. I've never plugged in one and go, man, that's just it. You know what I mean? So everything I know that they take pedals well, they're really cool, people like them, they were great. I was really curious about the new smaller one, and when I tried that, I remember thinking like, you know what it is for me? Sometimes when I try those type of amps, I think to myself, like, how much different is this than the Katana, really? You know what I mean? Or any kind of those mid-priced, more affordable, solid-state amps with more effects. So I kind of think my conclusion was the Boss Katana was the better purchase. And I could be totally wrong. Like I said, somebody's going to be really into those Jazz Chorus amps and tell me in the comments about, Phil, you're missing this and that and this. And I am. That's what I'm basically getting at, is I have enough experience to know what it is, but not enough not enough to seek it out and find out all the little things that make it special. So other than it's really clean. It's a really clean amp. And another thing about that is, you got to understand another thing about the Jazz Chorus amp. There used to be a time where people were musicians being infatuated with not only being loud, but being loud clean, right? Because you needed, when all the Marshall stacks are blaring and the drummer's beating the drums as hard as they can, and there's two 810 amp head cabinets, and you wanted to go clean, you needed something that could perform. So there was a big time, and a lot of people were playing outside venues. So there was a lot of those amps from those days, like the Fender Twin. To me, the Fender Twin, which is 80 watts through 212s, is a fantastic amp. I mean, that's an amp that's like the Jazz Chorus to me. It's a classic amp. It's different because it's two, but it's classic. It's found its way on many recordings. I love the Twin. It's fantastic. However, I don't feel the need to have a Twin, even though I love Fender amps, because I think the 65 Deluxe does what I need to do at the volume I need to do it at. The Twin is all about getting to a volume that I don't think a lot of people are getting to anymore. And I think the Jazz Roland Chorus is that same thing. It does something very special. It's clean, and it stays clean loud. And it will project a lot of that clean volume out there. And I don't think if you don't need that, I think you could find other amps that will do what you need. There you go. BK, hey BK, what's up, buddy? He says, cheers, and he got beer emojis. There you go. He says, ever tried Z-Coil pickups? I have not. Or Zex Coil, right? Is it Zex Coil, right? Because it's like Z-E-X, Zex Coil. Is that it? I haven't tried them. Never tried them. And I think interesting enough, it's like I'm drawing off memory again, and I could look it up, but I'm trying not to look up everything because then it's more about the conversation sometimes. That's the one I think where they wrap each magnet in wire, right? So that each one's individually wrapped. I could be wrong, but either way, it's been a while since I've seen that. I thought for sure, was funny, I thought for sure when I said I was going to do the pickup challenge videos this year, I thought a lot of the cool pickup guys would come out of the woodwork and say, hey, want to try something really unique? And they were actually the most absent. And the pickup videos, I'm almost giving up because I told you guys last week I think I was going to have pickups that coming in on Friday or Monday and to do the next video. They're still not here. They're still stuck in Chicago somewhere. It's been 3 weeks. They've been in Chicago. And my tracking number says, basically, don't freak out. They're coming. They're just moving slow. So this COVID thing for the shipping and stuff, it's been pretty crazy to get pickups. I mean, DiMarzio, I was going to do something with the DiMarzio pickups, and then they were closed. They just opened, so I just got their stuff. And really sucks. What really sucks, I just want to vent because I really need to. This is going to be more therapy for me. What really sucked was when I had the most time to do those videos, there was literally no way to get the hardware to do them. And then now I'm slowly getting the hardware so I can do the videos, but I'm literally backlogged with everything, you know what I mean? Backlogged with everything else that I had backed up from the thing. So it's been a mess. It's been a mess, to say the least, to try to get some of the stuff done. And I appreciate you all working with me because it's been everything I said I would do at the beginning of this year, I've been doing, even though I've been doing it slower. I've been getting it parceled out, the sharpen my axes, all this stuff. And if you notice, I've been as creative as you can get with the obstacles that have been presented, which is basically closures out there, slower processes, and of course, companies just flat out going, hey, we can't support you. I had some arrangements with companies to send stuff, and then they're just like, either A, they were closed and they couldn't ship it. B, they some companies are booming right now, and some companies are not booming. The ones that are not booming are like, we can't afford to send anything for promotion. I'm like, okay, so I'll foot that, which is what happened with these pickups. I had a company giving me these pickups, and so I did the video, and or at least let me borrow them. They were either way, they were going to send them to me, and then they couldn't, so I had to buy them, and then literally they've been stuck that way. And then the third thing that happens is if they can't, if they're not closed or they're financially can't do it, the person I was working with is gone because companies have been not downsizing, but obviously changing positions and stuff. So it's been a very frustrating process to get stuff done during this, and I try not to lose sight of the important thing, which is if you're safe and you're healthy, or if you're, there's just not enough to complain about is what I'm trying to say. Although not complaining is still doesn't mean it's not frustrating. It's very frustrating. So I want to say thank you. That's what I'm trying to get at. I want to say thank you for you guys being patient. I feel like you guys have been responding to all the content I've been making really, really well, and appreciating the fact that it's coming out slow, but it is coming out. So let's see what else. Joseph says, hey Phil, thinking about buying a custom shop Strat and keeping it mostly as a case queen. Oh, I hate case queens, but okay, we'll go there. I'll explain that in a minute too. Is a custom shop Strat a wise investment? No, investment, I told you I hate that word sometimes. First of all, anytime you say investment with guitar, please understand that I think if you're to be safe, investment always should be used mostly for used product, because think about guitars. Guitars are no different than a lot of new products, especially cars. Like cars, they depreciate a lot once you buy them. So buying it used, you could save a ton of money. You know what I mean? So if you're going to try to invest in something, and again, investment's a sketchy word because I like the term recoup. I've said that before. I'm going to hammer on that one again. The great thing about buying guitars and then not so much trying to sell them to make money or make investments, but sometimes the nice thing about it is you can get rid of a guitar and recoup either all or most of your money. And if you're in that mindset, recoup, it'll do you well much more than invest. And, you know what I mean? So there you go. So that's my advice on that. Custom Shop Strat. I don't know. I have a Custom Shop Strat. What I can tell you was I think I paid $1,920 for it almost 12 years ago. 12 years ago, I paid $1,912 for it or $20 for it. And I don't think it's worth that right now. I think if I was to put it sell, it's probably worth $1,700 to $1,800. And I paid $1,920 for it dealer cost. And that was a dealer cost in 2008. And it had a street of about $2,900, $2,899. So something like that. Maybe it's 31. You get the idea. It was 40%. So 40% off of the margin on the Custom Shop guitar is what I paid as a dealer for the guitar. So I wouldn't say that was a great investment. But I know some of the Relic Strats and can hold value. And there is some custom shops that do hold value. But again, don't buy it for that reason. And don't buy a guitar for the Case Queen thing. Play the guitar. Just trust me on this. I know a lot of people complain when they see guys with a lot of guitars and they're like, hey, you can't play all those guitars. I can't, but I try. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with being, optimistic. In my head, I swear to you, I wake up every day thinking, I'm going to play all these today. It's never going to happen. But in my head, every morning, oh yeah, I'll start with that one, and then I'll start playing that one, and then... So it's all right. So there you go. Hey, I saw Tyler Larson's in the house. This is a great time. Thank you, Tyler. I saw you for a second to mention that. Let me show you. Hold on, I can show you. Check this out. I mentioned this 2 weeks ago. I want to mention it again. That basically the second annual music school for aspiring musicians is coming up. I told you guys about this, and a bunch of you signed up. I want to thank you guys for that as well. This is a live interactive virtual experience. It's 4 days. It's $100. That's $25 a day. You can hang out with Tyler Larson, Paul Reed Smith, Tim Pierce. There's other great players too, but you guys know those guys from my channel. So keep in mind, it's really cool. There's really not a lot to do. I want to tell you that this is Tyler reached out to me, and I think I said this before. He offered to sponsor or do something like that. I told him no because I really like what he's doing. I always think he comes up with great ideas like this. Absolutely, there's a bunch of you guys. In fact, one of my friends, I think, signed up for it and said exactly what I'm about to tell you, which is, he's working from home, he's stuck at home. This is the closest to get the heck out of the house, man. So guys, please check that out. I have links already in this video. I put links in all these videos and on the podcast. Please check it out. It's like I said, for 4-day event, give it a try, and then let me know what you think. I'm sure Tyler would like to know too. I think it's really cool, and I'd like to see stuff like this prosper. Even after COVID, I think there's a place for both the real events and these virtual events, because let's be clear, a lot of people can't do it, and this allows you to kind of poke in, talk to people that really know what they're talking about, learn some stuff at the convenience of your own home, at the convenience of your own time. It's pretty cool. So there you go. There's my spiel. Like I said, please take it as what it is. These are some people I really admire, and I think they're doing great stuff, and I'm giving them a shout out. So there you go. So Janice, I got to read her question. Janice says, Phil, how about a video changing the strings on a Danelectro? Yes, it's super easy. It just sucks. I know what you're talking about, Janice. Because Danelectro, what they do is they recess that wraparound bridge into the body, which I think looks cool, but boy, does it suck restringing that guitar. I would say, here's the good news, Janice. So as hard as it is, not hard being time consuming, it's a time suck. Still not as bad as a Bigsby or a Floyd Rose. So it takes you a while, because here's why. The Bigsby is its own mess, because Bigsby, when you restring a Bigsby, you always feel like you need 3 hands. It's always right? I love it when I'm working on somebody else's Bigsby, because usually if I'm doing it in the shop, there's somebody that's by that can help me, and I'll be like, hey, put your finger here, and they walk by and I pull it through, right? It's just faster. Use your elbow, you know what I mean? So, excuse me. So, yeah, I understand. I just wanted to give you the shout out on that because I know your frustration before you didn't even have to go to detail. So, it works the same way as a wraparound. Trust me, when it's a very easy bridge to restring, it's just, yeah, you got to kind of here's what I got to do. Ready? You have two bolts, those two screws. Loosen those up, raise the bridge, take the bridge off, run all 6 strings through the bridge, put it back on, lower it down, and then run them up that way. If that doesn't make sense, I'm sorry, but promise it should. It looks like you shouldn't have to go through all that hell to do it, but you do, right? Keep in mind, these things were, they made these things in a different time. It's a different time. Not that it's much better now, but it was a different time. All right. What else do we got? We have more people. We have more questions to get to. Okay, what do we have? We have Pedro. Pedro says, hey, Phil, been playing electric guitar for years. Need some recommendations for my first steel string acoustic for $500. Also have had issues with my forearm getting irritated from rubbing. Thoughts on body shapes? Sure. That's not an uncommon thing, your forearm having that issue with acoustics especially. What I would recommend is this. Acoustic guitars, and Pedro, here's the best advice. Please take it, because it's I promise it's the absolute best advice I could give you. I'm not saying it's the best advice, but it's the best advice I can give you. Go physically play them. Go physically to your... Please, I'm hoping you have somebody, like at least a mom and pop or a guitar center or somebody you can go to, but please go pick them up. But what you want to do is don't pay attention to brands. Don't pay attention to the price points. Don't pay attention to, features and stuff like that, or country of origin. Pay attention to the shapes, okay? So thoughts on body shapes. You're essentially going to have the big 3, which is your dreadnought, which I always describe looks like a pear, your jumbo, which looks like an apple butt, like a figure 8 or an hourglass, but the bottom's bigger, and a folk style, which is going to be like that shape too, but much smaller and thinner. I would imagine, based on your description of what you just said, check out the folk style guitar. So, and sometimes known as a grand auditorium. So in this video, please, Pedro, just write these down. You have dreadnought, you have folk style, you have grand auditorium, and then jumbo. Jumbo is probably going to be not something you're interested in, but keep in mind. There's other shapes as well too, and companies can get real liberal with the descriptions of those shapes, but those, for the lack of a better time frame, those 4 shapes are the anatomy that I want you to focus on. And what I want you to do is go to a shop, pick them up, play them. When you find what you like, there you go. But I was going to say, another guitar I would highly recommend, Washburn makes one, so does Taylor, but Washburn makes one that I really like, where they put an arm carve on there. So it's a beautiful guitar. You could Google it. Just Google Washburn acoustic arm carve, and then whatever it is, it'll probably come up in the search results. Fantastic guitars, very comfortable. And then also, other thing you have to, then once you decide shape, now I want you to pay attention to the other thing. You're going to have 3 basic types of finishes. You're going to have gloss, satin, and none at all. That's the other thing I want you to pay attention to. If you're feeling like it's sticky because of the gloss finish, you got to stay away from the gloss finish. If the satin finish feels fine, that's great. And if that doesn't, then you have to go to no finish at all. And so take notes of that, those notes. So again, those 4 shapes, which is grand auditorium, jumbo, folk style, and dreadnought, and then the three finishes, which are going to be gloss, satin, and natural, which is no finish at all. Just do that. Figure it out, okay? You will drive yourself crazy trying to figure it out on the internet. You can figure out a lot of stuff on the internet. You can't figure out how something feels. It just doesn't work that way. Okay, Douglas says... HLK was robbed. So here's what he's telling me. He says, HLK was robbed. Worst guitar under $300. They are easily the worst guitar of all time. I don't know who HLK is. Who's HLK? Why do I not? Oh, Hardluck Kings. He's, okay. So basically, I did my video this week. Worst to best brands under $300. And here's what I can tell you about Hardluck Kings. if there was a guitar that I could tell you that I get more emails and physically have to fix, it's Hardluck Kings. Like I said, I stick with what I said. They look great. I think they're great, price points. They're interesting, but man, it seems like it's just they're plagued with repair issues. So that doesn't make them a bad guitar. First of all, keep this in mind, Douglas. Maybe this will make you feel better. Some people ask me about the lists, and here's the thing about this. It's the worst to best of those products and how I feel about them, which is nothing. It's just how I feel about them. But notice some products don't even rate to be on the list. You know what I mean? That's how it works. Some just didn't, because I have to cut the list off somewhere. Some people are saying like 35 is a lot. I'm like, yeah, but I mean, you really think about who you want to make sure gets attention, because one thing that's really important about those lists, and this is again, I always make sure on the live show to give you guys some more information than you would normally get from a normal YouTube video. Those lists really are activating the audiences in making excitement about guitar. It's very, very apparent that people are watching the videos. You just watch me basically review 35 to 40 guitars. You get excited, and actually you can see where people are making a lot of purchases. And a lot of these companies have reached out and told me, like, companies gotta understand, this is funny. I can't tell you who because I don't feel like it's fair, but I gotta tell you, there was a company that I absolutely love. You'll see soon. I say soon, within 30 days. So this is a real horrible teaser for you. But I just gotta tell you, this one, no one made me laugh harder than this company, who basically said they thought, like you said, they got robbed. They were like, you are wrong. You're wrong. Now, they didn't say it like that because they said it nicer. And they said, we're sending you a guitar. We want you to review it. We want you to tell us what's wrong with this guitar. And I was like, man, I love it. They got the balls on them. That's great. Because here's why. They got me. Here's what it is. I once told this to another company once. Again, trying to keep it, business-like here, okay? I don't want to smack talk anybody, but I do have a company that I mentioned once. This is a year ago or so, that there's some issues I had with them, and they caught me once at the NAMM show, and they stopped me, and they basically told me, they didn't agree with what I said, and I said, well, if you could send out your product, and I'd give it a good, I'll give it a review. I didn't say good review, but you know what I mean. I'll give it a good shot, And they said, well, we don't want to, and I go, well, then I don't know what to tell you, because I'm constricted by the truth. If you send it to me and I like it, even if I just said recently that I don't think your product's very valuable, I have to eat the crow because I don't know what to do, right? So same thing. That's why I thought this company has cojones, because what's great is they're right. When they send me this guitar and I review it, I know if it's good, I'm gonna get slammed, because they're like, wait a minute, you just said that company was not good on your worst to best list, and I'll be like, well, I don't know. And if it's not good, well, then I can stick with what I say, and hey, maybe they got another opportunity to get promotion out of it. I don't know. I just thought it was cool. I love these guys for doing that, and so I just thought I'd share that with you. It made me laugh. So yeah, I understand what you're saying, Douglas. I'm sorry the Hardluck Kings didn't get better. Like I said, I thought they deserved to be on the list, though. Originally, they weren't even going to be on that list, but I put them on there. So, and again, another thing too, and I don't want to get too into this subject, which is great. Another thing I wanted to do with those videos, which I think is working really good, is I wanted you guys to challenge me. I want people to challenge me, right? Douglas, what's great about this is I can't control the narrative of the comments. In other words, if I do a video like that, especially videos like that, they're going to, over time, over the next year, they're all probably will hit, 50 to 100,000 views, and that's a big sample size. Okay. So what I mean by that is that the comment sections will at least hit 2,000 to 3,000 comments. So if I say a brand isn't very good and there's 30 or 300 comments that's saying, no, Phil, I think you got this one wrong, I think the end users, will walk away going with, well, he's got his own opinion, but obviously that's not what people think. It's when they echo your sentiment is when sometimes you find a misalignment. And so, I've changed my mind already twice about 2 products because really good comments, making great points. Sometimes you go, okay, that's great. And I've considered that, and I've moved on and made adjustments on the next review. So again, we're not all fallible. We're just trying to talk about the thing we love and have fun with it and share it with everybody. And sometimes the best way to share it is be as honest about it as you can, because you guys smell the BS, and then it doesn't, no one wants the infomercial. There's one clear message on YouTube from an audience, is they don't want an infomercial. I mean, there's probably no clearer message. I'm trying to think of anything else besides that. You could boil down 90% of troll comments to, I don't want an infomercial. right? And that's my nice way of saying it. You know what I mean? That's the nicest way of saying it. So that's why I did those lists, because of the fact that I'm like, yeah, I get it. I'm going to make some, I hope I don't make enemies. I hope any company that reads that and watches those videos, you know, doesn't feel like they can't talk to me about anything. I mean, I'm just a person. You know what I mean? Who cares what I think? But but I do have the audience to get the attention on the product, which I think is always good. And you know what I mean? There you go. And it's also what I said. You can tell when I'm reviewing stuff, when I'm hitting somebody for something really bad, when you hammer on it. But more importantly, and then I promise I'm off the subject in the next one. Something else that's really important is, I've always said this privately. I don't know if I've ever mentioned with you guys, but look, I don't review car seats here, okay? So what I mean by that is, if I was going to review your car seat, trust me, I would say this is unsafe and stay the hell away from this product. Our products aren't really safety issued products. So what I'm trying to say is, if I say something's not as good as another thing, that doesn't really mean anything other than just a flavor preference. Think about reviewing guitars as me talking about flavors of ice cream and saying that this double chocolate doesn't taste as chocolatey as another one. That's not really a slam against one thing. It's just explaining that one's got a better flavor. That's how you should look at most reviews about product like this. If it's not a safety issue, it's really nothing in there that's going to be so extreme that's going to damage a brand. In my opinion. That's all in my opinion. Hero Glob says, with so many guitars, how do you not have more guitars with diverse pickups? I don't understand the question, because I'm pretty sure I have every major type of pickup out there. So I don't know what you mean by that. I have active pickups. I have P90s. Just in what's behind me, I have active pickups, P90s. I have single coils, vintage style, modern vintage coils. I have, what else do I have? What else is out there? I have a triple bucker pickup with these guitars, which is weird. Every kind of magnet. I have Alnico 2s, Alnico 8s, Alnico 5s, just in the pickups guitars behind me. Tele pickups are behind me. So I'm not sure I understand which particular particular pickup you're looking for, or which one. But also keep in mind, when you say so many guitars, I can't show you all my guitars. This is one of those things, like everybody asks me, like, you should do a, I would try, I've tried. Somebody's like, you should do a what do you call that? Not a collection thing, but what do they call it when they do it on YouTube? Like, yeah, I guess they go, hey, check out all my guitars, collection. I don't know how to do it. It's just impossible. There's no way to do it. Every time I think about doing it, the video would be an hour and a half long. It'd be way too long to do. So, but that being said, I even have at least 5 different kinds. I have way more. You know what? I take back everything I just said right now. I have way too many pickups, actually. Way too many pickup choices. In my house right now, I have 200, without the guitars, I have 240 different pickups in my house right now. So I think I have pickups covered. So I'm a little pickupped out. And that's for a project I'm doing. I'm really doing a big project that is coming up that I'm excited about when it comes to pickups. Dirt Racer says Fishman Fluence. I have Fishman Fluence. I even have the new Tele Fishman Fluence that I really like, which are the Greg Koch ones. Really super awesome. Video should be soon, I'm hoping. Aaron says, any news on the KYG Unfiltered episode? This is it, buddy. I'm drinking a beer. Ask me whatever you want. Okay. Overview Effect says, do a walkthrough. I thought about that. That's a good one, too. See, my problem is I like to tell stories about guitars. So that's why I said it would be horrific. I'd have to explain why each guitar exists, which is dumb. Or maybe not. I don't know why, maybe we're all that. It's funny. I'll tell you one thing I say that's always funny. I say I don't know why I would ever do that, but I will be honest with you guys. Anyone that puts up their guitar collection on YouTube, I watch that video. I'm like, what do they got? What are they doing? Why do they have it? So maybe I'm just wrong. Okay. We got a couple questions I got to get to because it's moving and not updating me. Okay. We have Caged Paps. Cage Paps says, my PRS SE Pauls guitar electronics fail to switch pickups sometimes. I can't buy the real TCI pickups. They have the mini toggles. What would you do? Well, it sounds to me if they're not, obviously it's not the pickups because it's really hard for a pickup to go bad. Other than maybe shearing one of the wire, the winding, there's really not a whole lot for a pickup to really go bad on. So basically what you're having is obviously a switch issue. My recommendation, and it's because you paid me in British pounds, I'm assuming you're not here in the US, so it's probably not as easy as calling customer service at PRS. But I would email customer service at PRS, and keep in mind it's COVID now. They're running as hard as they can, but let them know you're having the issue just because the Paul guitar is new. It's so new because it's this year, right? It's within the last year that I would imagine they would be able to take care of you with whether the issue. The other thing I would check out, make sure you do, if you have any kind of contact cleaner, you may want to clean out those switches. That's another issue too, because if anything gets in there, it's going to obstruct the connections from happening, and that's going to cause the short out. But sounds like that's going to be the issue. I say that keeping in mind that that's not an issue that's connected to that guitar. What I mean by when you have toggle switches that go in and out or are problematic, that happens on every guitar. It's really like there's better switches than others, and I didn't go through in detail to know which switches those are. I know I took apart some of those two guitars and looked inside them in the video, but I don't remember anything like, oh, that was a really bad switch or a really good switch. It looked pretty on par with everything. So that being said, I wouldn't replace those parts. I would try and clean and service them first, but also I would also reach out to PRS customer service and see if they take care of you. And then always let me know. You could private message me that, put that in the subject matter. I'm always curious to when you guys have a negative or positive experience with one of the brands that I've worked with, like PRS's. I just interviewed Jack Higginbotham, the COO of the company, as a podcast this week. I love Jack. That, so is the podcast is up right now, but the video isn't up until this Sunday. But absolutely love it. He's the most candid, honest guy I've met in the industry when it comes to talking about guitar stuff. So just let me know. I'm just curious. And like I said, but I would really strongly urge you to clean those switches out, because right now, I always feel like, and my guitar, my S2. The black one, that switch is dirty, and I got to clean it out, because every once in a while when I switch up, I have no neck pickup, and I have to switch down and switch back up and kind of just move it a little bit. And that switch is a little cheaper on the cheaper side, so it will be replaced pretty soon. Grumpy Mike says, and why not? ? By the way, Grumpy Mike, I really enjoyed your Harley Benton review. I watched that one this week because I was doing the list. I was actually actively also looking. Those lists that I'm making, I appreciate you guys watching them. Each one's taking about 8 to 10 hours to complete. But by the time I compile the list, then I make the video, then all the editing, and then, believe it or not, then I do all this back research. Before I upload it, not only do I send it to the patrons and ask them their thoughts and input on things they see in the list, misspellings, editing issues, I also ask them thoughts on why I picked what I did. Do you understand the logic? Does it make sense to you? Have I confused anybody? Am I contradicting myself in a way and not seeing it? Because it happens. I mean, I'm talking about so many subjects. And another thing I do is I actively, anything I had a very positive statement or negative statement about, anything in the extreme, I make sure I go out there and I end up watching like 10 or 20 videos on each, just to get some feedback from some other people to see, am I thinking like them? Are they thinking like me? Is this something I should be saying? Because again, this information, I'm trying to be as accurate, even though it's just an opinion, I still want that opinion to be accurate, if that makes sense, or as accurate as I can make it, you know what I mean? True to myself. So, anyways, now that I've said that to you about Grubby Mike's Harley Benton video, he says he's buying an HX Stomp. Talk me into it or out of it. Okay, I will do both. That's going to be the rule on the show is usually if you say you're going to buy something, we should tell you to do it. But let me tell you what, I'm going to talk you in it and out of it. Ready? I have one and I love it. And I never use it because I use my Positive Spark now, or my Positive Grid Spark. I know they're different products, and I know one's a little practice amp and one's a little multi-unit or effects processor. But for plugging in my computer and doing stuff, I've been using the Spark. So that's my 2 cents on that. HX Stomp. I love it. I have no plan to get rid of it. I do want to compare it to the new GE 300 Lite, which I haven't done a comparison of those two yet. I'm really curious to see how they line up. I did not like the GE 300 regular against the Helix Stomp. I didn't think they were, it was good, but I didn't think it was as good as the HX Stomp, especially since it was more expensive. But I'm curious how the new one lines up. But I will tell you this, as nice as I like my HX Stomp, I really think that Positive Grid amp for $200 or $250, whatever it is, $300, was really good. But you'd have to want a practice amp. So basically what I'm saying is if you're going to get HX Stomp, do that. The other thing about the HS Stomp is I don't love is if you're not going to use the distortions on it, I like the M9 still. So consider that as well. Other than that, I love it. So buy it. Steve Long Music says, cheers, Phil. Have a drink. Okay. All right. It says, let's see. Looking at getting into my first head and cab setup. Is mix matching brands, for example, orange head on a Marshall cab, a bad idea? No, almost every cabinet I own is a Marshall. I'm sorry, my nose is itching, guys. Maybe drinking makes my nose itch. Let me tell you my thought process on cabinets. I have, if I was gonna ever, I think I may have said this before. Sometimes I have deja vu when I'm talking on these live shows. If I was ever gonna pinpoint where I have just figured out a way to lose money in buying gear, it's with guitar cabinets. They are extremely expensive. They are marked up a hell of a lot. They get almost no return on investment when when you decide to move on. So what I learned over the years is like, oh, I got a Mesa Boogie. I got to get the Mesa Boogie cabinet. Oh, I got a Fender. I got to get the Fender cabinet. I always wanted to I always want to match everything up. And what ended up happening was sometimes you buy this amp, you buy the cabinet, the cabinet's like $800 or $500 or some crazy amount of money for a wood box. I've made this joke before on the show. I know it. I said it once. My wife had me looking at dressers. We were furniture shopping, and every dresser I looked at, I said, this dresser costs the same as a 212 cabinet. I said, a wood box with 2 Chinese-made speakers costs as much as a whole dresser. So it doesn't make any sense. Why the hell are the cabinets so much? You could build a whole leather couch for what a 412 goes for now. It's nuts. That being said, what I learned was I would buy this matching cabinet, and then if I didn't keep the amp, I sold the cabinet. The amp, I wouldn't take the bath on as much, but the cabinet was always a bath. And you almost can't ship them anywhere, so you got to find somebody local, which makes it worse. So some years ago, I decided I was done doing that, okay? I was just done doing that. So if I buy the new EVH head, I don't buy the EVH cabinet. If I buy a Friedman head, I don't buy the Friedman cabinet. What I do is I have Marshall cabinets, and then, of course, my Mojo cabinet that I had custom made because I wanted that. And that's one I use a lot. But all my other cabinets, I'm looking right now. I have a Friedman 112, but Friedman sent that to me. So they sent that to me. It's a great cabinet. But when I'm buying cabinets now, I only buy Marshalls or the Mojotone cabinets. That's my resolution. I've been sticking to it. I'm holding to that for forever because I feel like Marshall makes a good cabinet. It's cool looking. It does everything, and it doesn't look weird to me. It doesn't look weird to put a different amp brand on a Marshall. I don't think I have OCD with stuff having to match, but sometimes it bugs me, like you said, when you have an orange head on a Marshall cabinet, or that stuff bugs me. But I learned to just accept, you know what I mean, my Hughes and Kittner head on a Marshall cabinet. And I like the Marshall cabinets, and I like the speakers. So, no, to follow your logic, that's the logic I'm using, and I think you're safe with that. And to be honest with you, it's actually fixed the problem. I don't actually sell the cabinets anymore. So when I get rid of an amp, I still keep the cabinet. So, in fact, I think I said this in the Mojotone cabinet video. Almost all my cabinets that are Marshalls I've had since the day I started this channel. I still have all the same cabinets. So, which really worked out for the YouTube channel because when I mic everything, it's really consistent. All the amps are running the same cabinets. So, and speakers can change the sound more than anything else. What else do we have? We have Casey Strange says, "Hey Phil, hold on a second, let me drink." Oh, I just read that one in my head. Maybe I'm drinking more than I thought. I think it's because I read. See, this is what drinking does, I guess. Steve Long Music. I think I read it out of order. So I read Casey's. That was Casey's question. Now I'm going to read Steve Long Music's question, which is, "Cheers, Phil. Have a drink on me." Oh, no. Yeah, so this is what it is. Have a drink on me. Get a white Epi matte Heafy Snowfall Les Paul with a phenolic fretboard. A couple of frets are raising. Okay, so he got, basically what he's saying is he got the matte Heafy Snowfall. If you haven't seen it, it's an Epiphone guitar. It's like all white, and the fretboard's white, but it's made of phenolic. It's a... what is phenolic fretboard? It's phenolic resin fretboard, but it's a company. What's the company called? I don't know why I can't think of them. But okay, so I know what you're talking about. So he has frets are lifting out, which is not good. And his tapping them down isn't working. Yeah. It's really weird that they would lift out. There should be glued in there, so you know. Here's what I would suggest. So that guitar should be under warranty. If you bought it new, you might want to contact Epiphone. If you haven't bought it new, you gotta have. Let's go back up and do it this way. If you brought it to me and I was going to repair it, let me tell you what I would probably do. I would probably take a look to see what's the issue. My guess is that they're not bonding anymore to the glue, and there's nothing for them to bite into anymore. There's no meat in there, and Richlite, by the way, I just thought of it. Richlite's the company that makes those fretboards. I would probably just refret the whole thing and then glue everything back in. Either way, yeah, it's a sucky situation because that's supposed to be the benefit of those phenolic fretboards, the Richlites, is that they don't shrink, and when they tap the frets in, they're gluing them in there too. So it's really strange that they were popping out. I would also think to myself, I would think if it was me and you reached out to Epiphone, they might be curious to know it's doing that. Because Godin is using Richlite, phenolic resin fretboards. Phenolic resin fretboards are not supposed to do what you're saying, right? They're not supposed to shrink, and the frets aren't supposed to pop up. If I look concerned, it's because it's like, yeah, because it's not something common. So you might have something issue. Now, I've seen crazy things when it comes to materials like that. Sometimes the glues can delaminate. All kinds of can happen to extreme weather. I once had a customer buy a crazy expensive, like a $6,000 Parker fly from me, and he lived in Hong Kong, and it was so humid where he lived that it literally did delaminate. The guitar almost started, like the fretboard started peeling off, and it did weird stuff. We never seen anything like it before. When we reached out to Parker and they had their guys look at it, they basically said it was just that weird circumstances of his environment that he was in. So that's what I would suggest you do. I even saw Aljon in here earlier. Not saying you should reach out to Aljon, but Aljon from Epiphone was here. So I would reach out to Epiphone and let them know. Again, let them tell you that they it's not warranty. They're not going to take care of it. And then try to seek out somebody to fix your problem. But I would imagine a company like that might stand behind it. Plus, especially they might want to know that they have an issue. So because they might have a batch, you never know. You might give them the serial number and they realize they have a run of it was a bad day. Somebody didn't glue like they were supposed to. It happens. Things happen. All right. I don't know how to say this. Tards in 613 says, used my tip. Okay, so he's talking about my tip to contact the seller and got a great deal on a PRS. Here's your cut. Oh, that's awesome. Thanks. Drinking Pilsner and having some lemon kush. Oh, awesome, man. Good for you. So I like Pilsners as well a lot. I did, it's funny. I'm glad it worked out for you. I like I said, I like just reaching out and asking for a deal. There's nothing wrong with it. Give them the opportunity to give you the sale. So I did something funny this week, and I'm not going to tell you what. Somebody asked me a question, how was my birthday? Let's talk about that, because that was kind of funny. Let me share something with you. It's a little exciting. I'm excited. Somebody asked me earlier, and I didn't want to get to it early on the show. How was my birthday last week? Because as you know, Friday we did the show, and then on Monday was my birthday. It was really good. It was an amazing birthday. I had some friends over on Saturday. We had carne asada and just good times. And then on Sunday, hung out with the family, did cool stuff. It was a very nice weekend, nice and relaxing. But my wife got me a guitar. And I'm only laughing because you're like, well, what? Don't you have guitars? And she got me one of my dream guitars. And what's funny about that is I'm really excited about it, and I'm going to do a video about it very soon. I don't want to spoil what it is, but I will tell you this. It was funny talking about taking advice. When she purchased it, basically, she did exactly what you said. She offered a deal, said, hey, could you do a discount? And they said, yeah. But I thought it was funny, and the reason why I'm telling you this, and this is the lesson learned from you guys. So basically what I'm trying to tell you is that you can reach out to somebody, especially on Reverb or whatever platform, and ask for a deal. This was probably the funniest deal I've ever seen anyone ask for. Basically, imagine getting this email if you're a retailer. Hi, I'm very interested in this guitar. Could you do this price? Which is it was a small amount. It wasn't even 5% off. Okay, is what she asked for. She didn't even ask for 5% off. But then imagine saying, hey, could you do? Actually, keep it easy. What if I told you? Imagine being a retailer and getting an email. Hey, could you do 5% off? But either way, I'm buying it. And they said, yeah. And I thought, oh, that's awesome. That just proves again, sometimes the kind gesture of just saying, hey, I want to do business with you. Can you give me a deal, or can you do something for me? I really want to buy this from you. They did it anyways, even though the precursor of it is either way, they're buying it. So what a great story, I guess. Raphael says, cheers from Brazil. Your channel is great. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it. We're at this much on the... I'm just not tipsy enough. I'm sorry, guys. But, let's see. What else do we got? I know I have some super chats. I'm trying to do some non-super chat questions and talk about that stuff. Okay. Hold on, a lot of you guys. I'm looking for the question marks first. And I can't find any. And now we're just quiet. So all right, let me go back to super chat because there's one already penned. This one comes from Jack. Jack says, guitars in the room that has temperature fluctuating 10 degrees Fahrenheit every day. Is this hot weather? Wait, Friday. Let's try this again. He's saying there's guitars in the room. He's saying that room. Okay. I'm trying to clarify if he's talking about my room or his room. He is. He's saying guitars in the room that have temperature fluctuating 10 degrees Fahrenheit every day. Is this in this hot weather? Should he be concerned? No, not really. Like I said before, guitars as general are not going to freak out over how hot something gets, although it can get too hot, and how cold something gets because it can get too cold. But we're talking about within normal ranges. They're going to really get messed up from the fluctuation of that. Like you said, 10 degrees fluctuation in the same day is not enough usually to make everything go crazy. It would really be the fluctuation of humidity that changes dramatically. That would be more problematic. The paint, the wood, the metal. I mean, think about this. We're really only concerned about one thing. When we talk about guitars, worrying about guitars and temperature and humidity, we're really talking about necks. Okay, let's just stay focused on the necks. And to be fair, it also depends on if the neck has a finish on it, you know what I mean, or not. What kind of neck is it? You know what I mean? So there is variations to this question. In other words, should you be concerned? Well, yeah, I guess maybe if you have a bunch of unfinished, untreated necks and, you know what I mean, it could be problematic. But I would say no. I haven't seen anything in my experience that's going to say, oh no, make sure that doesn't happen. Of course, you're also not saying if they're acoustics or not. And acoustics are really more touchy to those temperature variations and humidity variations more so than electric guitars. So I would think of that's another issue too as well. But I'm assuming mostly your electric guitars hanging on the wall and you'd be fine. If you're doing let me put it this way, if you had this many acoustics in your room as I have electrics, then I would definitely consider trying to make sure the room is more climatized. Haas316 says, seems like a lot of discussion about Chinese built guitars last week. My offer still stands to let you borrow my 10S GF Les Paul copy for review. Is there any interest from the community? So he's asking you guys if you're curious about 10S guitars. Now, I believe, because actually I honestly believe I know it happened, 10S did reach out to me to do a review. As you guys know, they seem to be another company that's hot on the heels on the YouTube community. They know how to get involved with the YouTube community. They sent me some nice emails asking me, I think in that case, if I recall, and this was about a couple months ago, it was definitely before COVID, I responded to them with things I was interested in that I think you guys would be interested in, and I think they responded with what they would be interested in, and then I think the dialogue got kind of chilled off because of the COVID situation. So there you go with that. The thing with 10S for me is there's a lot of videos from a lot of YouTube channels about those products. And so when I do videos like that, when companies are reaching out to do a video like that, it's already tough because I already have too much on my plate now. It's already hard. Like I said, I would love to do more videos. I mean, that would be great. I just don't have the time. There's just no way to get this done. But that being said, I was trying to find something more interesting or something unique from them that would be interesting to review, maybe. But maybe you're right, Haas 316. If anyone's interested, put it in the comments. I'm curious to know if you guys are interested about 10S. I just watched Dovidos's video on 10S. It was really good. I mean, it seems like cool guitars. Okay. Hold on, as I... Hold on. Greg wants to know, have you seen Ivy guitars? I think it's Ivy. It's IYV guitars. So I don't know how that's spelled. IYV guitars. They weren't mentioned in your 300 guitar episode, but they make some interesting cheap guitars. Yeah, I'd never heard of them. I think somebody made a comment in that video about them, and it was one of those things, like I said, I just didn't have any experience playing them, didn't know them. So they just weren't on the list. That's how that works. That's why I said not every guitar company will be on the list, because I have to have some reference of them. So they were just... so yeah, that's why they weren't on the list. Nothing. Ben says the 10's video sounds cool to him. Carl says just ordered the Spark amp and have been debating it for a while. I think you'll be happy. Like I said, it's a really cool amp. Yeah, C. Burgess says Daryl Braun's got a video on 10S. Like I said, to be totally fair, every YouTube channel I've ever seen has a 10S video. That's why I said I get it, right? It's like I mean, again, there's no reason to. We are the guitar community at large, okay? So let's be clear that we know what brands are interacting with the YouTube community. In fact, I think sometimes there's always a nefarious kind of feeling put to it, like, oh, they're marketing through YouTubers. And there's some truth to that, of course. But realistically, some companies just understand that there's a market they can tap in here. Really what it comes down to, and I'm just saying this for any companies watching this, most companies have just figured out how stupid cheap it is to do. I mean, it's stupid cheap to advertise on a social media platform. And it's, so you know, it's not staying cheap. It's getting more expensive. So by the time most of the companies figure out that there's probably a way to interact with this guitar community through social internet, through social marketing, it's not going to be cheap. But some companies have got it. I think when I think of companies who understand or are utilizing social media marketing, in other words, they know we're here talking, right? I mean, obviously, we're hanging out every Friday. There's channels like us. There's, for every channel, I mean, this is my channel, but there's 500 other channels like it. I mean, Ben Coombs, he has got a great little community. There's channels that have communities, and why not tap into them? When I think of this, so as you guys know, I had a store for 12 years. In our store, so if a church came into our store, and I'm just talking about a church came into our store and wanted to buy some products, most manufacturers had a deal that we could give the church. They would call it a center of influence deal. Specifically, Fender called it that forever. And you didn't have to be a church. I'm just using them as a great example because they were a great example. Somebody could come in and say, hey, I play worship every Sunday. Fender would allow us to buy the product 10% below dealer cost, so we could give them a smoking deal, because Fender was smart enough to understand that person is standing on a stage in front of people every week, and that's going to help sell product. So utilizing an influencer was something that's predated the internet by leaps and bounds. My teachers would get discounts because they teach. Companies aren't stupid. If you go to your teacher every week and he's playing a certain kind of guitar, over time you're like, you must like the guitar, you know what I mean? So, and he's my teacher, so maybe it's a good product. So my point to this is that, yeah, there's influencer marketing has nothing to do with the internet. It's just the internet now makes it bigger and more apparent that it's happening, obviously. So, I think 10S is one of those companies that really tapped into that. And like I said, so I'm really curious about that. But I'm really curious at 10S, and I should be upfront about this. I'm really curious about 10S on my terms. You know what I mean? I think there's a lot of great products. If 10S just wants me to highlight one of their guitars, if you guys are interested and I'm wrong, then I'll do it, because anything you're interested in, I'm up for. Because again, you guys will react to it really well and it'll be fun. But hold on, I got a funny comment to read. But like I said, to me, products like that, I kind of want to do something more different, more exciting, because of the fact of, you know, I just don't want to, when everybody makes the same damn video. It's not that it's bad, and it's not the marketing thing. I used to think of it like it's a marketing ploy. That's probably true, but really what it is boring. It's really boring. It's like it's not fun to sit there and go. When I've done videos, sometimes in the past, and this is what happened. This is my younger channel self versus my older channel self now talking. In other words, now with some experience behind me. One of the things that used to suck was I would do videos sometimes on a product, and I was probably the 30th channel to do the video. And a lot of you guys would love it, but a lot of people would say, like, hey, you didn't talk about these normal things. Why did you do it this weird way? And I'm like, because I watched all the other videos, and I thought, well, what's left for me to talk about? So, again, I'm not old, I'm vintage, says Phil, influenced me into buying a PRS. You know what's great about that? I'll tell you, I'm not vintage, I'm old. I'm not old, I'm vintage. What I love about hearing that, when I hear stuff like that is, not that I'm happy that you bought a guitar, although I am, is one thing I could say about PRS that's funny is they're a company that sometimes I get some grief for. You know, you always get grief for every company. Every company you do a video. I thought about making a funny video once to explain to you guys why every company you talk about what it is that you're upsetting the audience about, because every company seems to have something in the audience doesn't like about. But what I like about companies like PRS guitars when I do videos is I buy them. Not only did I buy them before I had a channel, I still buy them. So, I mean, so yeah. So what I feel good about that when you go, hey, you influenced me into doing that, I feel good knowing that, well, I put my money where my mouth is. So feel good that if you bought that guitar because you genuinely thought I liked it, I did, because I still buy, you know, I mean, you know, companies will send me a guitar, but I still love what I still love. And I'm always going to probably be a Fender fan, a PRS fan, more so than probably any other brands. I mean, I love Gibson. I love Epiphone. You know, I mean, look at brands behind me. I like Ibanez. I like, Halo's behind me. That's cool. The Music Man's behind me. There's a Squire right there. A viewer sent, by the way, behind me right here, there's a purple Squire. A viewer sent that, and I'm going to mod it, and we're going to do some kind of giveaway with it. But anyways, or actually look behind me, there's more Gibsons, I think, than anything else. But either way, that being said, I still find myself buying Fenders and PRSs on a regular basis, even though, I get to work in a guitar environment every day. Let's do questions. Hold on a second, as I feel like I'm going to tirade. We have the way this kind of backlogs my questions sucks, because I'm going to say Deotak. It might be Dewotak, because I think Daewoo is spelled weird, and it kind of reminds me of Daewoo. I'm saying it wrong, I know it. It says, looking at Ibanez S10, oh my goodness, S1070 PBZ with the Edge Zero 2 bridge. What do you think of the Edge Zero 2? Good or bad? I liked it. I know some true Ibanez freaks don't like the Edge Zero 2. I do, because I like some of the features on it over the original one. I think, but I like the new stuff over the old stuff kind of thing. Like, you know what I mean? I like it when they make improvements. So it's a really good bridge. I've read and I've looked at all the comments about why people like the original Edge bridge over the Zero 2. But I like the Zero 2. I can tell you this, the Ibanez's I've had with the Edge Zero 2 stay in tune, and that's all you can really say, man. They stay in tune. Tony says, happy birthday, Phil. Now, my birthday was last week, but I appreciate it. I just don't want anybody to get confused. And I'll get 2 weeks out of this birthday. That's it. It says, thanks for all the great info. It's way more helpful than you could ever know. Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Have a 12-pack or a nice bottle on me. Cheers. And I'll cheers. See, the good thing is I'm not losing my voice today. Sarang's here. Sarang says, hey, Phil, I recently replaced the PCB selector switch in all my guitars with mechanical ones. Good job, man. I hate those things. I understand why they do it. It's really affordable, but they suck because they wear out. From the Fender, it really opened up the pickups and gave a lot more clarity to the guitars. What do you think is the reason for this? So obviously, let's just always acknowledge there's a placebo effect to everything. So it's possible, okay? I do it. I've said it in videos where I'm like, yeah, I think it's better. And I could think that because I just think it is, because perceivably, because I see it like you're seeing a better quality switch and it makes you think it's better. But that being said, because we shouldn't acknowledge that, always acknowledge that. But let's get into the real nitty gritty. What we do know is that resistance really is not a friend to sound, okay, when it comes to running your signal. So let's say your pickups to your components, to your cable, to your guitar cable, to your amplifier. All those things are not necessarily, I don't want to say they're bad, because sometimes, resistance and all the things that are, like a crappy guitar can have a cool sound, basically is what I'm trying to get at. I don't want to go too long into that, but what I'm trying to say is that I don't want to say it's bad sound versus good sound. What I want to say is there's different sounds. And what I'm basically saying is that it is possible that the quality of those components, being those PCB board selectors, it could be possible that there's more resistance in there, less highs are getting out, and maybe what you're experiencing now is what sometimes is perceived as more clarity in sound, because obviously the more highs you get, the more clarity, right? The highs really kind of make the chords sound a little bit more defined, so it's possible. I have heard that. I can't really say I've specifically kind of said, oh yeah, I definitely hear it too, but man, if there's a consistent message I've heard from customers over the years, is that switching out to better potentiometers and better components, they always say, oh yeah, they notice it. It's one of those things, like, I don't know, the reason I say the placebo is I don't know if we noticed if we didn't know it happened, but I will tell you is this, the new switches are going to last longer. They feel a little better. It feels just, sometimes it's nice to know when you're moving a switch or a component to feel like it's stable and it feels better. But like I said, it's possible what you could be hearing is more highs getting through, because again, more resistance would kill the highs. And if it's lower quality components, it's possible it has more resistance. It's possible. I bet you there's a bunch of electrical engineers here in the audience that could probably even put a comment about more what's going on with that. But that is generally what I've experienced in the past. All right. Then we have Darian. I want to make sure I said it wrong because it looked like Darian says, "Hey Phil, bought a Silver Sky 2 months ago, and unfortunately there is binding at the nut. Confirmed. How typical is this in such a quality axe?" I'm looking at mine. Well, mine has had zero issues. You shouldn't have issues. Binding at the nut would definitely be the nut's not cut correctly. That's possible. You know what I mean? Everything's possible. The problem is, and I think this is what I get at all the time, is that buying a more expensive guitar should mean that you should experience less issues like that. Obviously, because more QA is done, more hands are spent on it. But that being said, it's still possible. I mean, obviously we see it every day. So it's not. So to get to your question, how typical is it? It's not very typical at all, but it does happen. So if you're saying it's happened, I don't disbelieve you, because I've seen it happen on mini guitars in that price range all the time. The good news is easy fix, which is you just need the nut filed out a little better. Wingdolph 56 says, "Hi Phil, what's the difference between the current 65 Deluxe Reverb and the current 65 Princeton Reverb besides $100 and 8 watts?" Oh, there is big differences. First of all, you got to understand with Fender, they have different tremolo circuits. There's all kinds of stuff going on with the amplifiers. I have a 65 Deluxe Reverb and the Princeton. Now I have the 68 Princeton, but I used to have a 65 Princeton. I got rid of it, and I regret every day. I got rid of the 65 because I'm like, I got the 68. I don't need it. I wish I had both. They had something going. To me, they're different animals. First of all, also the Princeton also has a 10-inch speaker. That's going to be the biggest difference. Before we get into anything that's with the circuitry and what's going to sound different, you got to understand that the biggest difference in those two amps is going to be the 112 versus the 10-inch speaker, not just the watts. In fact, I think the watts were probably the least difference, especially since wattage is always kind of a lie. You know what I mean? The 65 Deluxe, I think, is rated at 22 watts. The Princeton is rated at like 12 to 15, depending on which manual you read. So, what I would recommend with you is you got to understand they're different animals. And the other thing that happens is this: the wattage, believe it or not, actually makes a difference. And here's why. The 65 breaks, the Princeton will break up faster. A smaller speaker and lower wattage, the Princeton is going to start breaking up at a much sooner, much lower volume than the 65. So if you want more clean headroom, I would definitely look at the 65 Deluxe. And like you said, $100 more. What I can tell you is this. I like the Princeton. It's my favorite amp. I live for that amp, to be honest with you. As much as I love the 65 Deluxe, but if I was going to go off of all the amps I've ever sold people and the way I've interacted with guitar players, most players are happy with the 65. If you're looking at buying one of those two amps, I will tell you this, that you'll probably be happy you spent a little extra and got the 65. There's nothing the Princeton does that you would miss out on if you got the 65, other than the Princeton, and this is why I like mine, has a lot of compression, and if you want that sound. A lot of people do not dig that. I like the Princeton because I think the basement has a lot of compression. When I say compression, I don't mean distortion overdrive. I mean literally it compresses like a compressor. And when you hit a note, it just kind of has that tighter sound. And the Princeton has that kind of tight sound that I kind of dig. But I think most players, especially using pedals and stuff, are going to like the 65 over that. Wow. Sometimes this thing it just jumps. We have Bruce. Bruce says, I like playing acoustic, but I really want the neck that feels more like a Strat. Okay, or electric guitar. I have sausage fingers, but 60s necks work. So there are acoustics that have slimmer, faster necks. So obviously some of the ones that stick out of my head the most are Ibanez. Ibanez has a lot of acoustic guitars that have smaller necks. To me personally, I think the Taylor necks are not that chunky. That's why I like the Taylor necks. They feel fast. You said Strat guitar. I would say my Taylor is close enough to a Strat to be happy with. I don't notice anything. But I can tell you that you don't have to buy a Taylor to get the faster neck. Like I said, there's Ibanez. I'm trying to think if Washburn has a smaller neck. I mean, there's a ton of companies that have them. And some of them advertise that it's a smaller feeling neck like an electric guitar. So it's out there. There's definitely guitars out there. So the good news is you just got to, they exist. That's the good news. They exist. Now you just got to kind of do some research and find them, but you'll find them. And those are some suggestions I'm going to give you. Chopper says, please recommend a couple of guitars sub $600 with slim or non-glossy neck, dual humbuckers, versatile. That's a great question and tough because let's see, under $600. Well, as you saw, when I did those lists now, you find it's getting tougher and tougher to get guitars under these price points. You can see guitars are really moving up in price. In fact, it feels like inflation is really coming hard on electric guitars. Slim, non-glossy necks with dual humbuckers and versatile under $600. I feel like I should just have like 5 references for you, but when you say slim neck, it's different. It depends on what you call slim necks too. Like I'm thinking slim, so I'm thinking you're thinking slimmer than a Fender neck, right? Because the Fender neck's like a C shape. You want something slimmer. Non-glossy. You know what it is? I did a video with Tom Quell and that Ibanez we did, which is the neck through with a satin neck, and the neck was nice and thin. That was one I recommend. I'll put a link to that video when I do the index. And it has 2 humbuckers. Great sounding guitar, great playing guitar. And another thing I would recommend under $600 for something with a non-gloss neck is some of the new Jacksons, like the Jackson Dinkies and stuff. Really good stuff. So stuff like that. A lot of guitars. Here's the good news, Chopper. What you're asking for exists a lot. It's real common. Slim, non-glossy necks are real popular with humbuckers. There are a lot of brands that are going to have them. It's just the, excuse me, it's just the under $600 part that's tough. All right. Andy John says, my practice space has a ton of EMI. I get static in my amps with my telly. Will active or noiseless pickups help? Yeah, active pickups will pretty much cut it all out. Looking at those Greg Koch ones as well. Yeah, no noise. Active pickups will isolate that. Not 100%, but more than any other pickup. It'll cut that stuff out. And of course, you can always look at a noise gate, but active pickups will do that. They're insulated. They'll stop the problem with the EMI. And that's what's great about them. I have a guitar with EMGs in it, and that's what it's my oh crap, I don't want to hear any noise guitar. So yeah, stuff like that would work. And definitely the Greg Koch pickups would do that for sure. Okay, Aaron Adams says, a lot of users here also watch TPS. He's talking about that pedal show. The viewer base will watch a long video, I promise. It's funny that you say that. Because obviously these live shows are long, and it's possible. And like I said, I don't have a problem making long videos. I'm long-winded, so it's easy. I don't watch long videos, so it's hard to make something. It's kind of like, think of it like a chef, right? If you're a Cajun chef, you're going to make Cajun food, right? You're going to make the thing, even though you're making food for the customers, you make what you like. I don't watch long videos on YouTube. It's not an attention span issue. It's just I like bullet points. I like getting to the point. I absolutely love, I'll tell you this right now, I absolutely love Henning Pauly. And I love him. He's been a good friend to know for many years. I love Henning. I love what the guys do. I don't know the guys on TPS. I've met them maybe 2 or 3 times at events. They've always been polite to me and nice, but I don't know them personally. But that being said, the reason I tell you that is as much as I love those 2 channels and I've watched many of their videos, I've never watched a whole video. I've just never done it. And it's not their fault because they make great content. I just, just kind of, I actually make content the way I want to watch content, which is, here are the things that are important. You know what I mean? Which is why it's funny when I do the live show. It's always unintuitive for me. So that's why I don't do longer video form videos that way. It's not. I know some of you guys will watch them. Whenever I make longer videos, you guys stay pretty engaged, and I mess with it each way. It's just I try to I try to make I'm trying to balance it. Is basically what I'm trying to say. And then Sean Pierce Johnson here, and he says, I don't mind long videos, but some are better than others. Yeah, absolutely. It's true. It's true. Although keep in mind, it's just, I don't do it. It's funny to me. I'll take a live show that somebody does, like these that I do, and I'll turn that on and I'll listen. I can listen for 2 hours like it's nothing. Turn it on in the background and start working, and it's playing in the background. I'll hear them talking. But when they're demoing and showing things, I just don't, it's tough for me to watch a 2-hour movie, much less a 2-hour review. So that's why it's tough to do that for me. So that's why I adjust them the way I do. But I do like them. I mean, I do like the idea of them, I should say. Let's see. Sasha says, just what is the deal with Glenn and Henning? I think they hate each other's guts and want to kill each other. I don't know. I'm just kidding. They're friends. They're good friends. They just like to They like to bust each other's balls, so to speak, as they say. Yeah, Jim's just saying what I said. I prefer shorter videos. If I want to watch something long, I'll watch a movie. Yeah, and so I should never say never, because I get in the mood sometimes and I'll watch a long video on YouTube. But I generally don't watch longer videos. What's funny was when I started my channel, my videos are way longer now than they were started on my channel. My average video when I started on YouTube was 3 minutes. That was for at least a year. I wasn't really dipping over 3 minutes. I mean, 5 minutes was like a long video for me. Now my average video is 15 to 20 minutes, which is way longer. There's no reasoning for that, like from YouTube or marketing sense or advertising or anything like that, all the crap reasons that people say. The main reason is just it's hard. It's hard to make short videos. That's what I find. It's almost the most impossible thing to do. When I make a video, because remember, when I say this, keep in mind, every video I make is long. It's chopped down. In fact, if you watch a perfect example, if you watch Henning's video, any Henning video, if you watch Henning's video and it's like 40 minutes long, that's my video when I start, and then I just start hacking on it. I've even made that joke about to some of the YouTube channels. Like, I would love to take one of their videos and then like turn it into a Know Your Gear video where I'm like, okay, you repeated this here, this has to go. Like, I try not to repeat anything. If I say something in the video and I'm like, I say the name of the company again, I go, nope, they already know the name of the company. I start chopping out everything you don't need to hear again, and then I just consolidate it down. That's just my reasoning is because, like I said, attention span. I just want everybody to kind of get to the point and get to it. And the reason also too is this. Another thing I've learned is this. In my and this is maybe some advice for like some channels and stuff. Maybe it helps them. I found no exception to this. I've been teaching in some way now for almost all my life. Remember, even when I was in corporate America before that, I used to have to teach in corporate America. I used to teach all the new classes that came into the company. So I've always kind of taught people stuff. And here's what I've learned about teaching people stuff. People learn exactly what they want and then they're done. That's what I've learned. Okay. That's it. So for instance, like if you know, whether it's a one-on-one lesson, whether it's a classroom, whenever somebody figures out the thing that they're after, they're done. It doesn't matter what you say after that. They don't care. They don't care if you're interesting. They don't care about anything you say. They've got the information, they go. So what I've learned is that sometimes when you make a long video, although it's great and you talk about 30 things and here's 30 things you can learn, people will find the 3 or 4 to 5 things that they wanted to learn once they know those there's done. So that's kind of my logic for that is I try to focus on that. And sometimes when I'm editing videos, I think about that because sometimes I realize like what you're after. I try to anticipate the information you're after and just focus on that. But sometimes you can't, and that's why the videos are long too. But the best advice I ever got on YouTube, so you know, is I wish I could take credit for it. I can't. It's not even a YouTube channel. Some random viewer gave this to me years ago. I said, I put a poll out to my audience. This is probably 3 years ago. And I said, how long should I make videos? And then I got all these answers. Make them short, make them long. I could listen to you for hours and wish you would just shut up and get right to the point. Like every comment. And this guy out of nowhere goes, they need to be as long as they need to be, Phil. If it's an interesting topic, talk on about it for a while. And if it's not, move on. Perfect. So that's the answer to the question. Every video should be as long as it needs to be. I once did a pick video. It's got 200,000 views. It's 1 minute and 38 seconds. Because you know why? No matter how many times you watch that video, you realize everything you ever wanted to know about that guitar pick, I pretty much covered in 30 seconds, much less a minute and 38 seconds. So there you go. Maybe it's 2.5 minutes. Okay, so we have Bill. Bill Spruce says Sam Adams Boston Lager, yay or nay? You can have one overdrive pedal and one reverb for the rest of your life. Which are they? Okay, cool. So I love these two questions. So he wants to know what I thought of Sam Adams Boston Lager. I love Sam Adams. I love the variety pack, right? At Christmas time of Sam Adams. So that's one I'll usually hit at Christmas time. To me, like I said earlier when I started the show with the beer thing, beers to me are seasonal in the idea that darker beers are kind of when it's cooler outside and the lighter beers are when it's hotter outside, is how I kind of like it. To me, Sam Adams is a cooler outside beer. You know what I mean? It's kind of nice. And that, I think that's also, so you know, like this beer that I've been drinking the show. This is how much I've drank so far in the show, which is a can of beer, so I haven't knocked it out. It's getting warmer as we go. You know what I mean? And lighter beers to me, as they get warmer, just really just pungent. Just, you know, where the darker beers, as they get warmer, they're still tolerable. So that's what's nice about the cooler weather. You know what I mean? It takes longer to drink them and they stay cooler. So the answer is yay. So the question is overdrive and reverb for the rest of my life. If I was going to use a reverb for the rest of my life, it'd be the 63 reverb from Boss. That's my favorite reverb pedal. However, close runner-ups would be, what would it be? It would be the Keeley reverb and delay, and then the Nux or NuX reverb delay. I like those two as well, but for some reason I like the Boss 63 reverb. I've been pretty consistent about saying that my whole time on YouTube. I really like that pedal for some reason. They don't make it anymore, and they probably want too much for it now, but I still like it. Overdrive, you're saying the best. Let's see. I just want to say overdrive or distortion. Overdrive pedal. If I had one overdrive pedal forever, you know. I'm looking at my pedal board right now, and there's 3 on my pedal board that I absolutely love. And I don't know which one I want to pick of the 3. That's what I'm trying to think, if I only grab one. So I'll tell you what the 3 are, if it helps. It's the Lawrence Petros 68 Overdrive, which I still love. And the one I have on my board right now is the one I bought from him when I first met him years ago. First video I ever did for him. It's the, you know, and I bought that pedal. So, you know, I bought that. That was before, like, you know, I just met him. I just bought it. Love that pedal. The next one is my Zen Drive. I really like that pedal. I always have. I think I like the LPD more now. So of those two, I think I'd pick the LPD. So that's how we'll do it. I'll rationalize. And then the next one is the Purple Plexi by Love pedal. And I really love that pedal, man. I really do. I'll tell you this. This is how I'm going to answer this, and this is going to be weird. I would pick the Purple Plexi, but I'll tell you right now, the odds of you finding one are almost impossible. They don't make them anymore, and they're asking top dollar for the ones they have. And it's not It's not better than the LPD 68. Both of them are like a purple plexi pedal. So ironically, think about this. I'm actually telling you, I like the Lawrence Petrov 68 and the purple plexi, which are both that same era of Gibson, of Marshall type distortions. However, the purple plexi has this like really cool mid-low push that I really like, and there's something about it that I just like that a little teeny bit more. But if I picked one forever, it would be the purple plexi, and the reason being is because I can't get it anymore. But I would tell you guys, if you were thinking about the one pedal of those two, I would recommend the LPD because, you know, you can actually get your hands on one. So there you go. And like I said, I like them equal. I want to say a tie on those. I know it's cheesy, but I just like them both. Dan Brown says, my dream guitar is a white Gibson Les Paul Custom. Oh, yes. Yes, you're talking great language, man. That's a beautiful guitar. But I don't think I can justify $4K price tag. Any alternatives besides Epiphone? Well, I mean, I don't know if Heritage does, but I don't know if they make the white custom Les Paul. Of course, LTD has a guitar. I mean, you know, everything's going to look like that guitar. I understand what you're saying, man. It's tough. It's a tough thing. But there's compromises to everything. I will tell you this. They make some really amazing Gibson Les Paul studios in white and you can go gold hardware. And it's not, I understand it doesn't have the double binding. I understand it doesn't have the binding, but man, it's white. It's got the vibe, the look with the gold hardware. It's a Gibson, you know what I mean? You can get into it for short money. So, I mean, there's things like that. If you don't want to do the Epiphone style one, I think what's going to happen is this. I just, and I'm telling you this because I'm sighing because I can't tell you. I don't want to tell you guys what I just did, or you know, for my birthday because I don't want to release what I got. But what I will tell you is this: like you, I just had the same problem. There was a dream guitar I wanted. My wife was basically sick of me talking about it for seriously. I said 12 years, and really, when we started thinking about it, it was really more of a 2006. So 14 years I've been basically like you saying, this is what I want. And I kept finding different versions of it. And now that I have it, and it's only been a week, and I know I'm in the honeymoon mode, what I can tell you is I don't regret it at all. But I understand where you're coming from. But what I would tell you is this. Just try to find either, if you can't, because I get it, $4,000 is a ton of money. You can't find the one you want. Don't find a compromise on it. Try to find something else that you can like just as much as it. I think that's a way to look at that. In other words, like I said, try to see if there's something like it, not like a copy of it, but like it that you can find and love as much, because identify what you like about it. It sounds to me like the custom, you like the fact that it's the white one. Maybe it's got the gold hardware because that's what it usually has with. It has a tone, but the tone can be copied by the pickups and things like that. So that's what I would suggest. The Smelly Cats Jazz says, how's it going, Phil? It's going good. How's it going with you? I'm looking to replace my metal guitar and Ibanez S771PB. The top two are DK24HH. Okay, so he's talking about the Charvel DK24 humbucker, and the S61AL. Well, I don't know what that one is, so I have to look that one up. Hold on, copy. Part of me wants to wildcard it with a Godin LGX SA with an insane amount of features. Okay, this is a fun question. Hold on a second. How are we doing on time? Oh, we're running long. So, it's the Axion label. I wish I could share the picture with you, but it's basically, and it's the one I played when I was at Henning's house, which I liked a lot. I liked that guitar a whole lot. It had the Fishmans in it. So, obviously, I know I'm a big fan of Godin stuff. The LGX SA is a fantastic guitar. You're literally looking at three, to me, totally different animals, right? The DK24HH and the Axion label Ibanez, and then the Godin are three totally different animals. So they're just out there and different. So, I mean, which one would you pick? I don't know, because like I said, they're just different. I don't know which one to suggest to you. I can tell you that I've played all three and I like them all for different reasons. Don't do this. Don't go off what I'm saying. Okay. I just want to tell you which one I'd pick. Of those three, if I was going to pick one, I'd pick the Charvel. And the reason I say that is that's the one I have. Right. So obviously I've played all three of those guitars and I own the Charvel. So I must like the Charvel more. So I have to stick with what I did because that makes sense. But I'm not suggesting you do that. But obviously that's what I did. Sparkle Tune Official says, I had a nightmare, okay, with an HX. Didn't switch my SLO 100, sent it back, okay, to line 6. Okay, so he's talking about the HX Stomp. He had one where it wasn't switching. Okay, and he says they sent it back to line 6, and they sent it back and said it couldn't be fixed. I have a Klon SG DM2 and a pin 2. So that's weird. They told you it just couldn't be fixed. Like, I mean, obviously I can understand if they said it's not under warranty, but they're telling you it can't be fixed. That sounds horrible. It's, right? Like, when I think of like the worst crap to hear, that's the worst crap. You're like, oh man, you know, thanks. It can't be fixed. Everything can be fixed. They could drop out all the guts and put all new guts. They could, right? So I don't understand the issue, but that sucks to hear. Greg K says, happy birthday, Phil. Cheers. All right, said cheers. So oh, he says, you mentioned a great chair drum throne. What brand was it? It was Pork Pie, but also I like Gibraltar as well. But yeah, it was Pork Pie. And then Jay says, hey, Phil, I'm searching for a super Strat with an HSS or HSH. So it's humbucker single or humbucker single humbucker configuration without a Floyd Rose. I want to stay under $1,500 used. Well, you just described the Charvel DK24s, man. So you can get that HSS and with a tremolo, because you don't want the Floyd, and they'll be under $1,000 to $1,200. Definitely recommend them. Like I said, I really like them. That Charvel, mine's over here. There's a video coming about my Charvel soon that I think you'll like. And I say soon, within the next month. I'm doing some stuff to it, but definitely I still think what I think, which is it's a great guitar for the money. It definitely makes me, when I play it makes me feel like I'm playing a $2,000 guitar. So, actually I should point this out too. I had this weird situation, and I never really discussed this with you guys because it was never anything important, but it probably should be mentioned. I bought the DK24, the one I have now, the black one. As you guys know, I got the original one, the green one, but I got rid of the green one to get the black one because I ended up liking the HH more than HSH. Say it twice as fast. And I got that one, and the reason that's important is I had an opportunity through this YouTube travel stuff to get the American version, which comes in the red color. And so I played the American version Charvel, which is $3,000. And I liked it, and I could not for the life of me figure out what was better about it than the made in Mexico version one. I feel like the neck on the American one was a little thinner, maybe. Basically, both had Seymour Duncan pickups. Maybe the tremolo was a higher graded Godin bridge. I just couldn't figure it out. And the reason I say that is, this is the important part of the story, is the American one would have only cost me about $300 more for what I paid for the black one. And I remember going, I'm going to kick myself if I don't pay $300 more and get the American one. But to be honest with you, I just couldn't I started going, well, why do I want to pay $300 more? And I figured it out. It's like, oh, because it's made in the USA over versus Mexico, and it's more of a premium model, the Charvel. But I picked with what felt good, so that's what I went with. Jason says, happy late birthday. No question, just thanks for everything. No problem, man. I appreciate it. All right. On that note, we're going to call it. These shows are getting long, but I didn't lose my voice this week. That's good. I made a point, actually, so I've been on these conference calls lately, and last Friday I was on one, and that's why I think I killed my voice on the live show. Is I had a 2-hour conversation, took an hour break, and then did this live show. It was just too much for my voice. All right. Anything else? I think we covered everything. We talked about Tyler's thing. Tyler and the here, let me click it. This is the second annual music for aspiring musicians. I don't know why I'm saying aspiring musicians. So check this out. I have links down below if you're curious. It has all the information. This is a virtual event. You don't have to go anywhere. So please check that out again, like I said, because that's coming up. I believe this is the last live show before you go to that event. That's why I want to mention it again. And also, what else? Also, I want to remind you guys that the new logo shirt, which is a different blue than this. Mine looks not blue, but it's very blue. It's a link on there. Check out the new shirt. That's the new shirt. It's not limited run. It's not replacing the old shirts. However, all the lowest selling shirts, I'm going to probably take some of those off the shop store for a while. So if it's I'm not telling you guys don't buy them, or otherwise you won't get them. I'm just saying if you notice they're gone, it's because they weren't selling. You can always contact me and ask us to put them back on. Yeah. Carson's like, so now you're drinking beer out of a transparent canister. I think I finished the whole beer. We should probably keep going until I finish this. Seems fair. I thought I was gonna. So I came prepared. I thought I was gonna drink 3. Boy, was I naive. One was hard enough. It's just hard when you're talking to take sips. Malik says, did you get my super chat from last week? Let's double check, buddy. Okay, I try to hit all these if I can. Some more just popped up, so let me get through. Okay. Shawnee's a Cubs fan. Hey, Shawnee, I haven't seen you in a while. It's good to see you. Says, hey, Phil, have you noticed any difference in the tone between a mahogany and alder body Strats? Might look at the American Deluxe HH model with mahogany. That's the tone wood debate. What I can tell you is the answer. The easy answer is yes, in the idea that the mahogany Strats that I played, I loved. They did sound different to me. I don't know if that's maybe they had different pickups. Again, it wasn't a comparison, but what I will tell you is I really like the mahogany-based Strats, but it's hard to say, yes, oh yeah, they're going to sound totally different, because again, it's not that I don't believe or do believe in tone wood. It's just, tone wood is just a factor of a thing. It's not every factor of a thing. So, and I will tell you this, whatever I think you get from tone wood, so here's where my compromise, I think, in my mind has always been. If mahogany was bassier or warmer sounding than alder, I think you could counteract that with pickups. That's what I've learned doing all these pickups. Like I said, there's 240 pickups in my house right now. And my joke is people can't drive by my house without their compasses freaking out probably. But messing with as many pickups as I have, doing as much research on pickups, is what I can tell you is this. There's probably nothing a pickup can't solve. I mean, that's really the majority of it. There's some things, but no, the majority of it's coming from your pickups. So to answer your question, if you want a mahogany Strat, I think it's cool. I like them. But if it's because you're like, this one's a little warmer sounder, I think that can be fixed with a pickup or some components. I'm going to say Destrato the Blues. Destrato the Blues says, Phil, your video on the Spark gave me a sigh of relief. Thank you for all and happy belated birthdays. I'm glad. I was really conflicted about doing that video. As people pointed out in the comments, hey, they weren't shipping product, and I didn't want to help a company that wasn't shipping customers products. But like I said, when I talked to the Spark people, I think I said that before, I talked to them. They seemed to put me at ease when I had the conversation with them. It seemed pretty logical. And I didn't say anything. Like I said, if you notice, I've been very quiet on the live shows, and I didn't say anything in the video about, don't worry, they're getting a big shipment and filling all the back orders soon, because they told me that. Because again, just because they told me that doesn't mean it's true, and it seems to be true now. It seems like if you're out there, you're seeing it. A ton of people, like I said, everybody I've talked to are getting their amps right now. It looks like they're caught up. Could there be problems in the future? Sure, of course, but it's good. And like I said, it's a good product for sure. A Very Dead Horse says, I just got done watching Texas Toast received a bag of D's in the mail. Okay, are you the culprit? I don't know what a bag of D's is. So, I'm sure what D's can stand for, but everyone thought the candy and glitter was hilarious. I haven't seen their video. What I can tell you is, and I got a couple super chats, but I'll tell you a funny thing. I got a great email. Somebody was really upset with me, and they were like, hey, you're really not really getting into this build-off thing. And I'm like, yeah, you'll see. I don't know what to tell you. Like I said, all I can do is the best job I can do. But I think I found some cool stuff. I really am focused on content of like I said, of making a great video and making a cool thing for people to enjoy. And I think these guys are doing a great job. I think Texas Toast, of course, always do a great job. They're fun to watch. They make good stuff. They're interesting. So I'll watch that video. I haven't seen that yet. They did, however, Matt did give me a funny idea. So I will tell you this, Matt, whether he doesn't realize it or not, he gave me the idea what to do with the guitar, the build-off guitar, because like I told you guys, I was like, okay, I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to allocate the time for this and how I'm going to do this build-off guitar, because it's like I said, it's a time issue. I got to make sure I have the time for this, and I have to allocate my time correctly. I can't I can't spend 2 weeks solid on making a guitar for, I mean, like I said, I love to help everybody, charity, everything else too. But again, it's just, I can't do it. So I got to figure out how I'm going to do this, how I'm going to do a good video, how I'm going to have fun with this, because I want to have fun with it too. How I'm going to help the charity, how I'm going to help the cause, how I'm going to help to build off, maybe inspire some people to do a kit. Anyways, Matt, I saw a video and it was Matt, and he was talking about his, what he thought everybody was going to do. And one of the things he said, he gave me the idea. He's like, Phil will probably just reach out to not companies. He said to people in the industry that he knows. And I was like, yeah, why aren't I doing that? Why don't I ask? Like, why don't I ask for some help? I started thinking about going, yeah, the guitars to raise money for charity, right? So I started thinking about going, yeah, what's the point of the guitar build? Is it to show that I can paint a guitar? And I'm like, no. Right. So I actually, what I'm hoping you guys will be excited about when I do my unboxing of it is I started thinking of going, I know some of the best in the world painters. Why don't I have them paint the guitar? Right. I mean, they were talking about, having, because obviously Texas Toast has a great paint shop. I think they do great work, but I'm just saying he made a great point. I'm like, yeah, I am friends with some of the guys they actually make and own the best bridges in the world. I have friends I have a pal who owns one of the most prestigious pickup manufacturers in the world. And I was like, yeah, why don't I ask these guys to just help me do this kit build? So that's what I'm going to do. So it's Texas Toast gave me the idea. Thank you, Texas Toast, for the idea. I was like, yeah, I'll put everything together. I'll do the work, right? It's legit. Obviously, I've put many guitars together before. It's not the end of the world to do that. I'll do all the work, but yes, I'm going to basically ask, and to be honest with you, as you guys know on YouTube, I've done a lot of stuff for a lot of companies on the fact that just because I like interacting with them. So I'm not saying I'm calling in those favors, but I'm calling in some favors. I'm like, hey, remember that time I did this stuff for you and I didn't ask for anything? It would be really cool if you built me a custom bridge. Hey, wouldn't it be cool if you made me custom stuff? Right? So we're going to do something cool. And what I can tell you is that when I'm done with my guitar, legitimately, it could be valued $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 guitar. So if somebody bids on it, I think they'll feel pretty good about giving their money to charity and getting a good product. So that's what I'm going to do. And the only thing I can't do, I just can't, guys, I'm sorry, is I can't do 10 videos. I wish I could. I would love to do like 10 videos. You'll see every single thing I do with the guitar, but it will probably be in one video. Maybe one, I'll probably do isolate the unboxing and idea rundown video, and then the finished product video where I montage it all together and make it like a 30-minute video going through everything. It's just it's a time issue for me, guys. Like I said, the more videos I do, the more time it takes, and again, I'm trying to isolate this to a reasonable amount of time to allocate for everything. So there you go. That's my idea. I'm not saying I'm going to do all that yet. That's my working idea. I think I was excited about it. As I said, when he mentioned that, I was like, yeah, why don't I ask for help? I started thinking about it going, yeah, even he builds the guitars, but his friends, the other guy paints them. So I'm like, yeah, why do I have to paint the guitar? Why do I have to do all this stuff myself? I don't like I told you guys before, I don't like to stain or paint guitars. It's not what I do. So I'm like, oh, I can find somebody to help me do that. So the convert says, hi, Phil. I just bought a used custom one-off Gibson Les Paul. It's awesome. Can you explain the difference between the custom shop and other custom bottom builders inside Gibson? Thanks. So I guess the question is, can explain the difference between the custom shop that Gibson has and custom builders? It says inside Gibson. I don't understand the question, and I hate that to do that to you, but can you explain the difference between the custom shop and other custom builders inside Gibson? I can't. I don't know what the heart of the question is. It's a custom one-off. So I think the heart of your question is, okay, so Gibson has produced guitars called Custom Shop. They say Custom Shop on it. I think I understand your question now. Sometimes you have to say it a couple times. So your question is, Gibson has guitars called Custom Shop. Yes. And they make multiples of them, but they're not one-offs like yours, and yours is a one-off custom. So what's the difference for that? Well, I mean, basically the difference is exactly what you said. Now, my guess is there's probably one or two people that only do the one-offs. I'm not really familiar with that. It's been a couple years since I've been to the Gibson Custom Shop. I went to think of this, it's Gibson's factory is probably one of the factories I haven't been to in at least 10 years. Think of how funny that is. So I don't know what's changed in the new world and what's different, but that would be my guess if somebody does your one guitar. What I can tell you is it's not really about that. It's it's in the custom shop. The whole point of a custom shop guitar, think about Fender Custom Shop and Gibson Custom Shop this way. It's about having a product that maybe has more attention to detail, maybe has features that the other production ones don't have, but mostly it's going to be about having something more unique. You're going to have an instrument that only a few people have, and let's be honest, in the world, if 100 people have it, your odds of you coming across any one of the other 99 people besides you to have it is going to be very rare. You have a one-off, which means you're not going to come across anybody that has it. So that's what it is. You have a very unique instrument, and that's what gives it its value. It's very unique. And also, that also can hurt it sometimes because no one's looking for it or knows what it is. So there's all kinds of goods and bads. But overall, I think it's good. It sounds like you got something really cool. Neil says, what are your thoughts on the Sinister Gates from Vince Sevenfold? So I'm assuming you mean the Sinister Gates guitars. First of all, I'm a huge Vince Sevenfold fan. I'm trying to think, because I think Bela Fleck is my first. In other words, the band I've seen the most. I'm trying to think the band I've seen most live is Bela Fleck and the Flecktones. And Bela Fleck. I've seen Bela Fleck once, and then Bela Fleck and the Flecktones maybe 5 times. Vince Sevenfold I've seen 3 or 4 times, so they're, I think, my runner-up. 4 times, I think. So I'm obviously a big Vince Sevenfold fan. And the Sinister Gates guitar is really cool. I actually was going to buy one once. I was going to buy the purple one. Remember when they did the purple one that was the Joker, but they couldn't put the Joker decal on it? I almost bought that one. I kind of regretted it. I love the guitar. I think it sounds great. You know what I mean? I'm a fanboy. Let's start here, man. I'm a Sinister Gates fanboy. I've always loved the guys in Avenged Sevenfold. If you're not an Avenged Sevenfold fan, what I will tell you is this. One of the things I love about them is Avenged Sevenfold, to me, is a band where it takes all these bands that I love, like Pantera, Metallica, Motley Crue, you know what I mean, Iron Maiden, all these bands that I love. And Sinister Gates, Avenged Sevenfold is a band that I think you would, when I look back in a younger version of myself, when I used to hope how bands would turn out, they're the band that they turned out the way I hoped they would. When you think about all those bands that I just mentioned that we like them, we're thinking, okay, in 20 years, I hope kids, listen to these bands and do something with it. And they did, and I love it. And so I'm a fan. So I'm a fan of the band, and I'm a fan of his guitar. It's really cool. I like the Invader pickups. I like the way it looks. It's out there. It's crazy. So don't know why I don't have one. All right, that's it. We're going to call it. I did it. Wolverine did a super chat with just an emoji. Or I'm just seeing things because I finished my beer. That's how we're going to end the show. I think somebody mentioned I didn't get their super chat. I will have to get to it next week. I will find it when I'm going through and doing the timestamps on this. I try to find all the super chats and get to them. Like I said, if I miss one, I try to head to the next week. Please understand. I try to get to as much as possible. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. We hit some pretty big numbers. It was a fun video. I like to think of this as the bonus show because, like I said, we did a bunch. I think this is the 5th one of the month. I hope you guys had fun. I said it already. Now I'm going to take my beer self and start indexing the show. As always, thank you guys so much for spending some time with me this week. And like I said, look for this Sunday. I'm going to have a special extra podcast video of Jack Higginbotham, the COO, Chief Executive Officer, our Chief Operating Officer of PRS Guitars. It's a great video, especially if you're a fan of PRS, you'll love it. If you're not a fan of PRS, you'll love it, I promise. Either way, I think you should check it out. And if you want to not wait, it's actually on the podcast right now. You can stream and listen to it. And actually, there's a slightly longer version on the podcast than what you'll see on the live show on Friday, or on the video on Sunday. So with that note, I appreciate you guys, and you guys have a fantastic week, and know your gear.